equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Thursday, I appeared with Dana Carvey and David Spade on their podcast this week in support of confronting evil. I like those guys and miss the days when they, along with Dennis Miller, Norm Macdonald, Adam Sandler, and others, delivered crisp, witty satire without malice. We talked a bit about Saturday Night Live and late night television, which have both changed dramatically. Today, many comics make their money playing to an ideological crew. So the material is largely partisan and often mean-spirited. Easy targets abound, especially President Trump. Now, you may remember that Mr. Carvey did a hilarious Joe Biden imitation on Saturday Night Live. Brilliant. No dark undertones. All powerful people deserve to be lampooned. However, the Colberts and Kimmels have left the comedy business, preferring to damage their political targets, not just tweak them. Generally speaking, Americans don't like the hate stuff. Maybe the fringe does, but not the masses. And the TV ratings prove that statement. I'm fortunate to have seen excellent comedy at its peak. Johnny Carson, Rodney Dangerfield, those people. And I really hope the laughs return someday. Back in a moment. Imagine a pharmacy that actually makes your life easier. All Family Pharmacy handles it all. Consultations, prescriptions, fulfillment, shipping. As we head into the cold and flu season, now is the time to stay prepared. From antibiotics and antivirals to ivermectin and more, they've got you covered. Licensed doctors review every order for safety, and everything ships right to your door. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Save 10% today. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the weekend. A little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into the lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, the good news is the government's back up and running at the federal level. The bad news is, well, the government's back up and running at the federal level. So we got the updates on that here in just a little bit. At least at this point, the dueling sound bites will be from a different perspective now that the government's back up and running. Hey, good morning, Mike Ferguson here. But let's talk about something a little closer to home. St. Louis County, the county government is considering a new set of rules that essentially would mandate a sort of a DEI-ish approach to handing out contracts for county government work. And it's going to cost you a lot more money to do the woke thing, but it also means that some businesses aren't going to be treated fairly. The Show Me Institute's David Stokes gave us the update on this on Wednesday's program.
Let's lay the foundation here. I saw this piece in the Post-Dispatch here. So the page admin, or basically the county, let me just say the county generically, is looking at what? Quotas for certain contracting and subcontracting, but it's not just with what their projects are. Am I reading this right in that this could be imposed outside of government contracts and in the private sector?
Absolutely, Mike. But to be clear, it's not as far as I can tell, it's not really being pushed heavily by the Page administration. It's more by Councilmember Webb, who has introduced a substitute bill for Bill 182. And that is going to, the original bill was just updating the purchasing code for St. Louis County government, how they buy stuff, go out for bid, get vendors, all those things. Mm-hmm. But the substitute bill that was dropped last week and was perfected 6-1, including by some votes from people who I don't think knew what was in the new bill. It's a very long bill in their defense. It is taking the county rules for large government projects, things like paying prevailing wages, which really increase costs of projects, requiring apprenticeship programs for the companies that are doing the bidding, which really favors union companies, and requiring that contractors have women and minority-owned business contracting regulations, meaning that they're going to set aside a certain percent of the business for women and minority-owned companies, which is just a program that's rife with fraud throughout the country and in Missouri. And all of this is now, instead of just being applied to, it's bad enough that it's common for large government projects, but they're making it applicable to basically every county project, even tiny ones. And here's even worse: any project in the county that gets any type of tax incentive or tax subsidy, no matter how small, no matter if it's within a municipality and that doesn't involve St. Louis County, these deals are going to now be covered by these rules. And as your regular listeners know, and as you know, I'm no fan of tax incentives and tax subsidies, but this is not the way to go about trying to limit those. Adding new rules and regulations to so many new projects in St. Louis County is going to be, I think, just very economically harmful for the county.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the prices being driven up. I mean, basically what it sounds like is, to some degree, the union simply will just set the cost and they'll set it as high as they possibly can, because that's what unions do. They want to milk every penny out of everything that they can. But this subcontracting stuff, as far as the women and minority-owned businesses as well, what happens if there just aren't enough of those around? I mean, let's for a moment pause from the right or wrong aspect of it. What happens if you can't find somebody to meet that quota at this point? So you're trying to socially engineer something through government funds.
Absolutely. And that is one of the, in my blog post at showmeinstitute.org on this, there's links to studies that say one of the reasons those programs increase prices on taxpayers is because there are often so few bidders who are able to fit those requirements. So as basic economics would indicate, if you have a small number of bidders for anything, you're going to pay more because there's less competition. Yeah. So that absolutely happens. I think in instances, if you can demonstrate that for a certain project there is no company that fits, you can get a waiver. But overall, there usually are companies that will fit this, that fit this disadvantaged business enterprise rule, but it's a very small number of them. And certainly not all of them, but many of them are fronts anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fraud in these programs around the country. So then you add in prevailing wage. Many municipal governments do not require, cities do not require prevailing wage on their contract, nor should they. Now you've got to dramatically increase costs, because that too is going to limit the number of bidders who can come in. There's no point in coming in and trying to get a project with a lower bid if you have to pay the same higher wages as the largest union company. So it's all, the Post story on this, Mike, was very clear that basically unions wrote much of this bill.
Yep.
And it's just right out there at it. And, there's nothing wrong with apprenticeship programs. That's the one part of the deal that isn't automatically wrong. But to require every bidder for many of these projects have an apprenticeship program, that's just an impossible requirement, and again done to favor union bidders at the expense of competition. So this proposal is bad all the way around, and I think and look, again, I'm not a friend of tax incentives and tax subsidies, and I'd love to see far fewer of them in St. Louis County, but adding just gigantic new costs, red tape, and regulations to every project in the county that has even the slightest one of them, that's the wrong way to go about addressing it.
Yeah, I mean, not to oversimplify things, but somebody says, okay, well, what's the prevailing wage? Well, it's whatever the local union says it is. is essentially the way it works in Missouri. Is that they set their own paycheck because of union friendly, taxpayer unfriendly policies like this. Okay, so Dave, we're visiting with Dave Stokes from the Show Me Institute. A lot of people may be saying, well, wait a minute, didn't all this stuff just get banned, at the federal level from the Trump administration? We're not supposed to do DEI stuff for these sort of contracts. Does that not trickle down to a local level? Is the county allowed to do this?
Oh, absolutely. That's another major concern here. As you know, the city of St. Louis just canceled much of its women and minority business designation program because it was violating new federal rules. And many of these projects that get, have a government project or have a tax incentive, whatever it may be, many of them do get some type of federal funds. Maybe there's a federal subsidy, or maybe there's just federal funds for a road project. Who knows? That won't be rare. And you're going to have bidders who are really put in a bad position there. Now, it depends a little bit on how the county sets up the women and minority-owned business program. There are ways to do it constitutionally, unlike what the city had, which was completely unconstitutional under the new rules, and new rules that I agree with, of course. So it depends on how the county sets it up, but you're going to put a lot of bidders in a potential tight spot where they risk violating federal rules on some of these projects in order to comply with new county rules. So yes, a very legitimate concern, and yet one more reason why this proposal is just so bad.
What kind of projects are we talking about? Is there a wide scale, or is this just construction, or what type of work are we talking about?
No, it's a wide scale. I mean, it's not just construction. Now that may be the bulk of it, and that's what maybe most people think about. But if you're doing a new commercial development, a new road, a new bridge, but just a commercial retail development that gets some type of subsidy, a new housing development that gets some type of subsidy. And again, I'm not a fan of these subsidies. And if we had a lot fewer incentive and subsidy use because of this, that could be a silver lining. But still, you do not want to apply you're going to have so many companies refusing to do business in St. Louis County, or they won't be able to because they're a smaller construction company or a smaller developer, and they can't afford to comply with these new rules. It's very expensive to comply with these regulations should they pass. So it affects every job done by any government other than a very, very tiny project. Any government in the county, any project, even if it's completely private, that gets any type of tax incentive anywhere in the county, it's an incredible expansion. I would tell you, Mike, that I don't think the county has legal authority to do some of this. Some of these incentives, the county is involved in some of them, but others would just be entirely at the city level. So how the county has the legal authority to require this in those cases, that'll probably be settled by a lawsuit. But that lawsuit just means more county spending of county tax dollars to defend an indefensible bill. So I really hope this is supposed to be up for final passage next week, and I hope some of the council members who voted for it on perfection now realize all the terrible public policy that's in it and change their mind.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is what's the status of this bill? So there's one more vote. So what, next Tuesday then most likely is when the county will decide whether or not to set these sorts of rules into place. And I've actually seen some of the fraud where basically, hey, we can get this contract if it's a WBE or an MBE, women business enterprise, minority business enterprise, what they used to call them, and just have somebody become the token whatever to get that pass through subcontract. And I know that it happens, and it has happened for years. So this isn't set in stone. There's a final vote coming up, but the Democrats all tend to favor this, overall. So they do have the votes to pass it. Does it have to be just a simple majority to adopt it?
It does, but then if the Page administration vetoes it, and I have no idea what their plans would be, but I do know that at the hearing last week and in prior hearings that some of the county administration staffers in the Department of Purchasing Administration have expressed concerns about how far this goes. So I don't think the Page administration is necessarily supportive. That said, is he in a position to veto it?
Right.
If he vetoes it, then it will require a supermajority to pass it. But if he doesn't, then they just need 4 votes next Tuesday to to get it. They had more than 4 on perfection last week. But again, I think when you drop a substitute bill of an 80-page bill, it's very long on short notice. Sometimes it's just impossible to know everything that's in it. And you sort of trust the council member who put it in. But as the Post-Dispatch story indicates, the council member who introduced it didn't seem to necessarily know everything that was in it because the union just wrote it. So it's all very concerning. It would just be terrible for economic growth in St. Louis County.
Do we have any idea to quantify what the extra cost would be to the government, to the taxpayers, or is it still such obscure phase on this right now that we don't even know how much it would cost?
Well, we don't know how much this exact bill would cost, but as I talk in my blog post at showmeinstitute.org, there are plenty of studies, and I linked to them in the blog post about how much prevailing wage contracting can increase costs of a project. It can be significant. There's been studies that found up to 25% increase in cost. How much costs from limiting your number of bidders by these minority and women-owned business contracting requirements and apprenticeship programs really reduces the pool of people who are going to bid. And yes, we link to studies that document that. So just because we can't give a precise number on this bill that just came down last week doesn't mean that we do not know for sure that costs will go up substantially on all sorts of projects in St. Louis County if this policy passes.
Okay, so last question here, because I'm a little over time, Dave, is that somebody will argue that, hey, a lot of these women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, they're not going to win bids if it's just wide open. And to everybody, they're going to lose out to the better politically connected, larger companies, national companies, that sort of thing. What would be a better way to offer more opportunity for government contracts?
A better opportunity is to remove so many of these rules and regulations so that small businesses, smaller contracts, and many women and minority-owned contractors are smaller, so that they can compete without these requirements.
Yeah.
I mean, you put all these rules and regulations that affect the big guys, and then it's easy to argue that you have to have these mandates for the smaller minority-owned or women-owned businesses. Well, get rid of all the rules and regulations here that make it more expensive to bid in the first place, and then the smaller companies can't do a bid. Look, this isn't the 1950s where, I refuse to believe that in 2025 that St. Louis County government is discriminating against women and minority-owned businesses in their bidding system. Like it just isn't happening now. It is a level playing field for people, and some of the things that make it less level are too many rules, too much red tape, and too many regulations that hurt the smaller competitors. To get rid of more of them, and those small businesses owned by whomever will be able to make bids and win bids on county projects and private projects and everything else.
Please don't forget, we've got the News Talk STL and St. Louis County GOP Central Committee food drive in full swing right now. All the details are at newstalkstl.com. I would love for us to be able to have to empty out these bins, refill them, do it just over and over again. Matter of fact, one of the bins is right here at the radio station. So please contribute to that. It all benefits the work and the ministry of Feed My People right here in St. Louis. But once again, all the details are at newstalkstl.com. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have given in to the far left progressive base.
Has Mamdani won the soul of the Democrat Party?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is a free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect our valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It finally happened. Driving into work, had to slam on the brakes up here on Westport Plaza. Deer walked out in front of me.
Uh-oh.
Finally happened. I've seen around Maryland Heights. There are these deer that are in the middle of the town, and you see them early in the morning, like when we come in. But it finally happened. One just walked right out in front of me, and you know who I thought of when that happened?
Yep.
I thought of Stell.
Man of Stell. Yeah.
I thought of Stell. You know, I'm like, well, I stopped. Now he was on the highway. He couldn't have avoided his, but yeah, I'm like, there was. And the thing is like the deer that are in town. And by the way, the deer move around a lot more right now because it's deer hunting season, and they've just acclimated. And I think they've got this instinct to like, oh, if we're out in the wild, we could get shot. We're going to go where we're not going to get shot. And that's just, I have no scientific basis for that. But I had to hit the brakes right here at Westport Plaza, right here by, Westland Industrial. And the deer didn't even get spooked. My SUV just was trotting along and looked up. Was like, "What's up, dude?" And just slowly walked by. And like, I could kill you if I floored it. And the deer was like, "I'm not worried about it. You don't have a rifle. I'm good." And it just kind of trotted along and went into some business property there.
You walked out like, you send one of us to the morgue, we send one of you to the hospital. How about
that? Right. So I knew it was going to happen because when I'm driving into work, I regularly see deer like in people's yards and on the business property and stuff. It's really bizarre. But finally, one of them walked out in front of me. It looked delicious, but I didn't have time. Just saying. All right. Okay. So we had our fun, but the government is not working again.
Well, is it working or is it open?
Good point. It's open.
There we go.
It has reopened. So we'll see what happens. A lot of different angles to talk about this. What did the Republicans win, if anything? What did the Democrats win, if anything? I don't think anything, although the Democrats are trying to angle this for 2026, as we've talked about before. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. Real quick here. White House is angry about a batch of those Jeffrey Epstein emails that were released by House Democrats. So Greg Cluxton over at Town Hall has kind of an overview.
Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released emails from Epstein, the late sex offender. In one of the messages, Epstein wrote Donald Trump knew about the girls. An email from 2011 alleged that he had spent hours at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim. The president accused Democrats of trying to deflect from their political failures, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the emails were selectively leaked to smear President Trump. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so the emails were cherry-picked.
Yeah.
They really were. And it was interesting because I saw all the headlines hit, and the first headline I saw was MSNBC. So I'm like, let's see here. Then I saw CNN. I'm like, yeah, okay. So then I see Newsmax, and then I see the others, and I actually read beyond the headlines. And they kept redacting the name of the sex trafficking victim. Well, it was because it's somebody who's come forward. She's now deceased, but she's now come forward, and she said, "Oh yeah, Trump didn't do any of the underage girl stuff." So there was nothing in the emails that indicted Trump on the actual like trafficking, getting with the girl. There was nothing there. It was highly cherry picked. That now, I still want I want the rest of the Epstein files released, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on today too. But it was just gross the way these Democrats did it, because listen, if you think that Trump is in the files, then you should want just the files released and don't cherry pick. But the fact that they're cherry picking and misleading on it doesn't show any sort of good faith, and nobody's treating this case in Washington the way it should be, save just a few people.
Yeah, and that's really the despicable part of all this, is that justice for what happened should not be a political winning point. It should be a get justice for the victim's point.
Yeah, the key word here, justice. But the key word here is apparently politics. Yeah, that's where we're at. All right. A lot of ground to cover here today. Got some thoughts. 314-912-1019. Let's talk about it, St. Louis.
Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Staff's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery in St. Peters, St. Charles, Lake St. Louis on Fort Trail, and the original Stefanina's in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Check us out at staffspizza.com. Staff's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you'll be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The U.S. government reopened after House lawmakers approved a funding bill and sent it to the White House. At a late-night Oval Office signing ceremony, President Trump blamed Democrats for the 43-day shutdown.
This was an easy extension, but they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way. And they look very bad, the Democrats do. So I just want to tell the American people, you should not forget this. When we come up to midterms and other things, don't forget what they've done to our country.
Expiring Obamacare tax credits were the reason Democrats forced the shutdown, but in the end, there was no guarantee to extend those subsidies. More than 1,000 unionized Starbucks workers are planning to strike at 65 U.S. stores starting today. The strike was scheduled to disrupt Starbucks Red Cup Day typically one of the company's busiest days of the year. Starbucks gives away free usable cups to customers who buy a holiday drink. More than a week after that fiery UPS plane crash in Louisville, all 14 victims have been identified and their families notified. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg.
As we share the names of those who we've lost, our city feels the full weight of this unimaginable tragedy. Behind every one of these names is a circle of family, friends, stories that will forever be unfinished.
President Trump is urging Israel to pardon Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the corruption case. He called it a political unjustified prosecution in a letter to Israel's president earlier this week. Netanyahu is the only sitting Israeli prime minister to be indicted, facing charges of fraud, breach of trust, and accepting bribes. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Right now in Ukraine, elderly Jews are trapped in unbearable poverty. Galina, she's a 96-year-old Holocaust survivor who has spent her entire life in the same village. She's sick and alone and facing another bitterly cold winter. And today, like every day, she has to decide to spend what little money she has on food, medicine, or heating. No one should have to live like this, but for Galina and so many others, this is the harsh reality. Look, the Bible tells us that when you bless elderly Jews living in poverty like Galina, you will receive blessings in return. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews and your generous donation, you can bring hope to those in need. Your gift of just $25 will help provide a food box packed with life-saving essentials that help feed an elderly Jew struggling to survive. Don't delay. Your gift today will help provide the life-saving food and hope that Galina and many like her so desperately need. UrgentIFCJ.org. That's one word, UrgentIFCJ.org, or call now at 866-338-IFCJ, 866-338-4325.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the weekend. A little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into the lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
We talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting ducks, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, the Schumer shutdown is over. Democrats are big mad about it. But the weird part is that they're increasingly big mad at Schumer.
Yeah.
Not for the shutdown, but for the fact that the shutdown's over.
It's going to hurt my brain to try and figure out the logic.
All right. And a former area police chief faces a potential long prison sentence. Yeah, this is ugly. And the government has ended the production of some of our currency.
I saw
so the
that.
end of an era happened yesterday. 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
Okay, so the House did its thing. It voted. It passed the bill to reopen and fund the government through January. This includes funding for SNAP. It includes paying the federal workers. Speaker Mike Johnson says Democrats use the American people as leverage for their own political gain.
All this was utterly pointless and foolish. This outcome was totally foreseeable. I said that this would be the outcome when all this began back in mid-September.
Okay.
They did it anyway.
So Representative Hakeem Jeffries blasting the bill, and he says because it does not include that $1.5 trillion being put in for all of the health care subsidies.
They have zero interest in fighting hard to make life better for the American people. Their philosophy, my way or the highway, our response, get lost. We're going to continue to fight hard on behalf of the American people.
And to nobody's surprise, around here, the Republicans voted to reopen the government. The Democrats, including Wesley Bell, voted against reopening the government, which should not surprise anybody.
No.
Yeah, so plenty of time to get some thoughts on that throughout the morning here. Yeah, without a doubt. Okay, the $547 million EV battery plant project that was planned for North City, that is now permanently unplugged. Done. Not going to happen.
Okay.
The ICL group wanted to build a manufacturing plant near North Broadway. Now, remember, the Biden administration awarded the company about $200 million to support the project. Just, hey, we want you to build this. Here's $200 million. The Trump administration revoked that grant this year. The company says that means that the project is no longer competitive, their words, and they will build somewhere else. I think you have a thought on that.
I do.
Yes. What
I mean, it took $200 million from the government to make it competitive.
Right. Yes.
They keep using that word. I do not think it means what they think it means.
we should grab that soundbite from the Princess Bride.
That's going to the bank.
That is the bullseye comment right there, Susie. 100%. Okay, a former Metro Police chief pleads guilty to defrauding government of over $150,000. Yeah, Daniel Paulino used to be the chief of police for Velda City until the department disbanded last year. But he was also the city administrator. Yeah, which is an odd dual role there. On Wednesday, he admitted in court to taking city funds and using them for his businesses and for personal travel. Paulino will be sentenced in February.
Okay.
He faces a potential very lengthy prison sentence. Now,
There's
I don't know.
a lot of that going around.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is it, Velda City, obviously a very small, one of the suburbs here, communities. And for some reason, we know there's corruption in the big cities, but in the small cities, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a big fish in a small pond thing or whatever the entitlement mindset comes, but it's just bizarre. And so, I mean, he potentially faces 40 years in prison, although I don't think he's going to get that.
Was it worth it?
I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but no.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Was the cheapluxurycruise.com or whatever it was that you bought with it, which is one of the things they found? No, it's just not. He was asked by a reporter, what do you have to say to the taxpayers? He went, no comment. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, geez. Okay. The Congressional Budget Office projecting that fourth quarter GDP is going to shrink by 1% to 2%. That is prompting some concerns that were already in place for the U.S. economy. We're just kind of teetering. I'm not saying that we're on the edge of, recession or anything, but we're not in as great a shape as I think a lot of people would like us to think, but we're also not on the potential doomsday either. Things could go either way.
No. And do they say why it's going to shrink?
One of the reasons is the shutdown. Yes, one of the reasons is the shutdown. Now, another reason is the cost of things are going up as well. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the Trump administration is fully committed to making things more affordable. He was on Fox and Friends, and he was talking about lowering some tariffs on some grocery items that we don't grow here in the U.S.
You're going to see some substantial announcements over the next couple of days in terms of things we don't grow here in the United States. Coffee being one of them. bananas, other fruits, things like that. So that will bring the prices down.
Yeah, it's almost like adding taxes on things and passing the cost on to the consumer makes it more expensive. So lowering the taxes and lowering which are tariffs or taxes, lowering that will reduce the cost to consumers. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
I'm starting to have hope that Scott Bessent's going to learn some basic things about economics.
I think he already knows some basic things about economics.
He's not behaving that way all the time. Yeah. But the Congressional Budget Office is reporting the U.S. economy is suffering permanent losses between $7 and $14 billion due to that government shutdown.
Yeah. It makes me very mad.
Yeah. And it was preventable. But it also shows that the private sector is way too dependent on the government sector.
Well, absolutely. It shows that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. What else we got here? Just a heads up for hunters as we head into firearms deer season. Missouri Conservation Department is requiring all deer that's harvested in St. Louis and St. Charles counties to be tested for chronic wasting disease.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Hunters have to present the deer to a sampling station the day of the kill. More information is at the Department of Conservation's website, and there are several stations throughout both counties. I suspect if the hunters already have their license, they probably already got an email or anything. But just so you know, because firearms deer season is here, it doesn't mean they think it's widespread, but they just want to sample and keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Uber's women-only ride option is coming to St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So sort of. The idea has been tested in other cities, and it allows women to limit their rideshare driver options to only women. So you're a woman, you're like, I don't want a man driving me around. I feel more comfortable with a woman. I'm gonna click women only, and then you can do that now in St. Louis, and that's in theory to make them feel more comfortable.
But what is a woman?
That's the question of the day. The app, though, allows anyone, passenger or driver, to declare themselves female because Uber is very woke that way. So the woman a passenger requests to drive may not actually be a woman.
Right. Which kind of defeats the purpose.
You
because
would think.
Almost goes out of its way to then advertise the fact that, okay.
Yeah. So that's where that stands with it. And of course, it's kind of funny. People are like, well, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Well, if you actually limited it to women,
Sure.
Yeah, there's no option for men to say, I only want men, but women could choose only women,
That
except
seems unfair.
Uber might give you somebody who's not a woman.
Doesn't that right there just kind of encapsulate the whole thing? There is no option for men.
Right.
Why is that?
Right.
What is the distinction there? And, similarly, like if you want to go into a women's dressing room or a women's restroom, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny because every story I saw on this, was just glowing. It's like, well, this is clearly a good thing because as we know, men are all dangerous and bad, and we could, we're just all, suspects. Just, yeah.
I'm feeling threatened.
As you should. You're outnumbered 2-1 here. But then I saw one line that says it's open to anybody who's designated their gender as woman on their app. And so I looked in and I'm like, there's the catch.
So it's not even on your driver's license.
No,
so
it's
you
just-
didn't actually officially with the so I could realistically just
Yes. No,
do it, and I
you
could
could
be-
declare yourself woman and make sure that you get a woman driver. Yes.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Okay, it's the end of an era for America's smallest coin. The United States Mint struck its final penny for circulation yesterday. We're not making any more pennies.
Good.
That is the end of penny production in the U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach says while production of the penny is being stopped, the penny itself isn't going anywhere.
Let me be crystal clear. The penny remains legal tender. We have over 300 billion pennies that remain in circulation, and we encourage you to use them.
It cost almost 4 cents to make a 1 cent penny.
Yeah, so it's actually a good move.
It really is.
Right.
So let's see here. The penny's been in circulation and being minted since 1792.
Wow.
The move is expected to save about $56 million per year in production costs. So as long as you've got a penny, you can pass those pennies down to your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, and they will still be able to use those pennies. We just ain't making any more of them.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense.
Yep.
Oh.
Don't try to make me stop. Inspiration, you have the soul so dark, it is no more.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to you.
You know, I just mentioned it is firearms deer season. It's already happening in Missouri's North Dome. Duck season opened up about 2 weeks ago as well. And if you need to restock on anything, you need to get ready to go and do your hunting trip, check out my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy. Mike Ferguson here for Whistle Pig Outdoors, whistlepigoutdoors.com. Listen, they've got everything you need. Go visit their store. I love hanging out with the guys there. This is a family-run business. And this is a business run by actual outdoorsmen and hunters. They know their stuff and they field test pretty much all of it anyway. So they've got everything you need. You need some premium ammo. They've got it. You need your decoy spread increased and improved. They've got it as well. Stay dry with waders, especially for waterfowl season. They've got Banded, they've got Drake, they've got First Light, you name it, they've got it. So big game clothing, I should say, deer stands, blinds, scents, everything. Waterfowl to whitetail, Whistle Pig Outdoors has you covered. They're on North Main in Troy. Once again, whistlepigoutdoors.com. But I'm telling you, you can buy online there, but go check out their store. It is awesome, especially for those of you who do bow hunting. They've got a tech in-house, and they will get it right for you and improve your game for a great harvest. Check it out, whistlepigoutdoors.com.
Dr. Draghi and his team at Esquire Sports Medicine get pros back on the field, so they can certainly help you. You need an MRI, X-ray, CAT scan, pre- or post-surgery treatment, rehab. The chiropractic physicians at Esquire can help you or connect you to experts you need. And I know you're hurting right now. You don't want to wait. Esquire sees new patients often within 24 hours. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's flooring outlets, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli and Ken Williams. We can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Fraud and scams can strike anyone. My office works to ensure that Missouri is free from deception and unfair practices. Last year, we handled over 65,000 consumer complaints and returned more than $400 million to Missourians. If you've been a victim of fraud, call 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Little trivia about the show, Susie. This was the first bump music ever played on the show.
Oh.
I made a mental note of it when the first time we came on and coming out of a break.
This is our Buggles.
That's right. This is our video killed the radio star.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was the first, and it was just random. I mean, I don't know that Ken selected it for any particular reason, but this was just the one that happened to play.
This is Def Leppard.
Yeah, Def Leppard. Yep, yep. Because I made sure to make a mental note all those years ago. All right, the shutdown's over. Now what?
It was actually the title of my morning minute earlier this week.
Oh,
now,
is it really?
Now what do we do?
Yeah, precisely. Okay, so let me start with what did the Republicans won. I don't think anybody, I mean, the Democrats are acknowledging the Republicans won just from a political jockeying thing. But what did they actually win? I mean, it's like are you a hero if you don't burn your house down today?
Fair.
I mean, good. That's a good thing, but you're not supposed to.
Right. It's kind of like relative to the other option. It
Right.
actually is the win.
Exactly. So what did the Republicans actually win, if anything? Or is it just in comparison to the Democrats?
I have the number one answer to that.
Yes.
They stuck together and didn't cave.
That is unusual.
That is big. That is new. That is
big.
different.
Yeah,
For the Republican
that's true.
Party.
So then do you think they look around and go, oh, look what happened when we did that?
Some of them do.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they recognize the importance of doing that because this was not easy.
Right.
Certainly when they weren't getting any help from the legacy media.
Nope.
So, well, I shouldn't say that. They weren't getting much help. There
Yeah.
were actually some honest brokers at times acknowledging that
Even
this was because-
Tapper.
yes.
At one point, even Tapper, and I forgot who he was interviewing. It wasn't who's the one from Washington State? Jamila
Pramila Jayapal.
Jayapal. Yeah, it may have been her. I don't remember who it was, but it was somebody. And he goes, the way we've always covered this is the party voting no is the party responsible for the shutdown. Therefore, why are the Democrats keeping it shut down? And it sent shockwaves because it's like, wait a minute, CNN isn't supposed to do that. Tapper isn't supposed to do
Who
that.
got the Tapper?
Tapper just got his clock cleaned on his stupid book not even a year and a half ago. We didn't expect that from him. And so yeah, I think even people will recognize that, well, Democrats chose to do this. They just weren't even able to sell it to their own base.
I have another win for the Republicans.
Okay.
And actually it's for the country. They got 3 appropriations bills passed through this via regular order.
Right.
So that's 25% of them. There's 9 more to go.
Yeah.
But that in and of itself is actually the first time they've done that in like 20 years.
And because these are long-term ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ones that last for the full fiscal year.
Full fiscal year, which is really unusual. So that creates the stability on that. So the Democrats, basically once the 8 senators moved over and said, okay, let's uncle. Okay, uncle. And they did that. Then the Republicans were able to move this through in the House.
Yes.
So yeah. So and you know what? The Republicans were smart, and I don't always say that.
No.
The Republicans were smart when they went, okay, here's what we can get. Let's not go for too much and try to do all 12.
No. That wasn't
Because
gonna happen.
filibuster would have come back and all hell would have broken loose, but they got what they could. So you give them credit strategically for doing that. Did the Democrats win anything on this? I mean, I'm asking,
I know. I was like,
and
I'm
not-
letting it go too long with the
Yeah.
silence.
I'm not talking about like who's a right or wrong thing, because I'm sure there
Yeah.
are some Democrats that are mad that the government's, but did they actually win anything? I've got like one idea of what they think they might have won, but did they actually win anything?
I'm trying to, if you want to just be like, cut them all the breaks.
Right.
I guess you could say they rolled back the reduction in force that went into place because of the shutdown. But had they not done the shutdown, that wouldn't have gone into place, at least not under that mechanism. So that's kind of a twisted way of looking at it.
Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah,
to some
exactly.
degree. Yeah. What do you think, Jerome? Did the Democrats, do they have anything they can take from this and claim them as a win?
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind immediately, again, goes into the idea of primaries and then potentially a 2028 election sort of thing with the sound bites, because the Republicans, when you listen to them, it was just those pesky Democrats are not letting us reopen it. Whereas the Democrats, some of them at least, were able to say, like, they made it sound like they were fighting and championing the cause, and those darn Republicans are you know. So when it comes time for that memory hole that usually appears after a few months out of the media cycle, then they can sit back and say, well, remember when we did all this for you guys? Because that's really the only tangibly nothing I can think of.
See, that's what I was thinking, is that the only thing they're going to hope is a win is in the 2026 elections, the actual prices of things like healthcare, now that the COVID subsidies are unmasked, or the unmasking of that they're going to go, look what they did to you. Now, is that honest? No. Look what Obamacare did to you, but they're not going to, but that memory hole is a decade old now, 22 decades old now, or decade and a half old. So I think that I mean, I think they're reeling right now, but in the end, I think they're saying, okay, but we got something to run on in 2026.
Yeah, they pivoted the discussion to healthcare, which is maybe one of their strongest arguments.
Right, because it's an emotional one. They're not telling the truth about it.
No.
But voters vote based on how they feel. Voters don't research for the most part. Voters vote based on how they feel.
Sure.
And again, if I'm seeing these stories saying, well, my premiums were, I'm just pulling numbers out of the air, $500 for my whole family. That was bad enough. Now I'm going to find out that it's $1,200. Okay, well, that meant your premiums were $1,200 all along. You were just making everybody else pay for your premiums. And you look back at, like, for instance, people are saying, well, I couldn't afford it. I had pre-existing conditions. So sorry. I had to pay more to pay for you. So we got away from a market incentive. And once we socialized it, what do you know? The quality went down and the cost went up, which is it always does. However, that's not how an entire generation of voters who grew up under Obamacare are going to see it. Because we also have a couple of generations who now look at, well, of course, government's responsible for giving me health care. They actually think that. Not realizing historically how unbelievably dangerous it is to be dependent on government for something that's life or death.
So, and then that's the flip side of the shutdown discussion. The people who were paying attention and actually listening to the conversation about it may have picked up on the fact that this highlights that danger.
Right.
I mean, before, I think it was 1913, you kept 100% of your income. We somehow still had roads and skyscrapers and all this other stuff being developed and maintained. But I think one of the biggest eye-opening things as well, though, to your point about people not really paying attention during these times, is I went around and was asking people that worked in the businesses that could be affected by the SNAP running out, and a lot of them were like, "We had no idea that they're like, what are you talking about? The government shutdown? How is anything working if the government?" It's like that is how little the average person interacts with federal government, and yet we're supposed to sit here and applaud because now they're reopened because I got better sound bites than you. That's just how it feels to me.
Does Chuck Schumer stay the Democratic leader in the Senate
through the rest? Because, I think he stays through his term, but I think he gets primaried. If he runs.
He's been in for a while. I mean, he's at the age now.
He's no spring chicken.
No, he could gracefully, say it's time to turn over to another, but he's got enough years on him. He could do another 6. I don't know when he's up.
I don't know about gracefully.
Is he up for?
I think he's up in 20.
He's up in 26 because they're talking
so.
about AOC challenging him, and
right.
And AOC took a moderate swipe at him. She didn't slam him, but I noticed that multiple Democrats had the same talking points. Chuck Schumer didn't meet the moment. Those words exactly. And it was from Democrats all over the country. So somebody wrote the talking point, and they're kind of cutting away at his base a little bit. So he probably is vulnerable to a primary.
I don't think he's up again until 2028.
So that gives a long time for somebody to run up, but that also gives voters a long time to forget and for him to rebuild his cred, which means he's going to have to become more aggressively left-wing in order to rebuild that.
He's, I think, 74.
So he'd be 76, which isn't ancient by Senate standards.
Yeah.
It's old by
No, it's not. No.
Yeah.
That's really sad to say.
Yeah.
Well, we've always got Chuck Grassley, so
That's right.
he's probably going to serve till he's 120. So
Right, exactly.
I love him.
So, but that's where it's at. So the Democrats are reeling right now, but don't think for a minute that guarantees Republican wins in 2026.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
It does not.
If the Democrats are able to carve some of this out, they're going to have something to run on, even if I think they're wrong on the policy. Voters vote based on how they feel.
It's true. It's true. Mike reminded you of this earlier, but we have got an ongoing food drive we've partnered with the St. Louis County Republican Committee. We've got barrels here at the station. We've got them at locations across the St. Louis area, including Michael's Flooring Outlets, Chris's Pancakes, Bartolino's. Bring some cans, bring some food boxes, help your community, help us with this food drive.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
People talk about federal money as if it falls from heaven. You know, we thank heaven for it, but it came out of people's pockets.
On News Talk STL. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperature is going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the weekend. A little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
Right now, 1 in 4 women in America will have an abortion before age 45. But together, we can save lives. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here. Reach Reproductive Health is here to equip parents in crisis situations to choose life. And Reach also empowers them to be parents and to come to Christ. Be a part of it this holiday season. Visit outreachforlife.org to learn more and to support this life-saving work. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serene Wealth Management. Tune in this Sunday right here on Newstalk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for Serene Wealth Now Radio. This week, we've got special guest Kathy Kaiser joining us in studio. You hear her each and every week on Vic's show, and we've got her for 30 minutes on Serene Wealth Now Radio. So tune in, have a little fun with finance, talk about what's going on and what you're watching. See you Sunday, 9 a.m., Newstalk STL, Serene Wealth Now Radio.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Lights flickering?
Chrysler can fix it.
Breaker keeps tripping?
That's a Chrysler job.
Outlet not working?
Chrysler makes it right.
Old wiring need a rewire?
Chrysler rewires with care.
From little fixes to major fixes, we treat your home like our own.
Treat? Did you say treat?
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, let me do kind of the bigger picture discussion here. Okay, and I am telling you right now, for those of you who are on the left and you listen or watch, when I say I really appreciate that you're part of the discussion and part of the audience, I really mean that. Honestly, I wish we'd hear more from you. You know, obviously I'm not going to agree most of the time, but I think it's interesting. And I'm not afraid to, talk to people who disagree with me. It's obvious that conservatives and leftists have different just worldviews. I mean, that's not controversial to say. That's why we have these debates. It's why conservative and mainstream media do battle all the time. We just see the world differently. Okay. The leftist value structure is just something I don't understand anymore. I could in past years, I could say, I disagree with you, but I get where you're coming from. Let's talk about why I think there's a better way, or you can tell me why you think there's a better way. We don't have that core value structure that I just don't understand where the left is coming from and what they value as virtue and not. So leftist, email, send social media, call, whatever. Couple things that happened last couple of days. We talked about Missouri finding almost 500 CDL drivers of foreigners who could not speak English. Now, notice that they didn't lose their CDL because they're foreigners. That's not why they lost their licenses and their livelihoods. They lost it because they weren't assimilated to the point they could read or speak English, which is a standard applied to everybody who gets a CDL. You can be somebody from another country and have a CDL and be a truck driver or be a chauffeur or whatever, delivery driver, whatever it is. You can do that.
Qualified to pass the prerequisites to do it? Then yes, you may. Absolutely.
Yes. So Missouri fines almost 500, yanks the licenses. The Department of Transportation goes into California and fines 17,000 because far leftist run states, including California, have decided to value the those who are not assimilating over the safety and common sense and economy of those in this country. And I'm not saying, and I say those in this country because it's not just citizens.
No,
there are people here legally. You play by the rules. Come on in. We vetted you. We've got room for you. Come. Okay. But to the leftist in this case, and I've got another example, what they valued was providing something to a foreigner who doesn't earn it in place of what is right in protecting the safety of those here legally.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
There's no way to know this, quantify it really, but what percentage of those who believe what you just said, who prioritize providing this privilege, these licenses to people who aren't actually proficient in the language, what percentage is people who are just, very soft-hearted and want to give everybody an opportunity and just feel like even language shouldn't necessarily be a barrier to that, and they think it's wrong and immoral to exclude people on that basis, versus people that are like, I don't care, the right feels this way, Donald Trump feels this way, so I'm going to do the exact opposite.
Yeah, there's no way to know for sure. My guess is that today it's much more the latter.
I think so too.
15 years ago may have been more of the other.
I think so too.
Yeah, but here's case number 2. Did you hear about this? A staffer for Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth. Did you see this?
I saw the headline. I haven't had a chance to read the article.
Okay, so here's what happened. Somebody who works for Senator Duckworth's staff went into an ICE detention center somewhere around here on the Illinois side.
Okay. So it wasn't up near Chicago. It was
the news reports I'm seeing say in St. Louis, Illinois. I don't know if that means East St. Louis, Illinois, or because there is no St. Louis, Illinois that I'm aware of.
there's not.
No, but there was an ICE detention center in Illinois, and what happened is the staffer went into the detention center, told federal agents that he's the attorney for Jose Ismael Ayuso Sandoval, who is an illegal alien who has been caught and deported 4 times to Mexico, also has a DUI conviction, and was detained again and being prepared for deportation for a 5th time. So this United States Senate staffer lied about being his attorney, accessed him, and the accusation is coordinated with a law firm that he called in later, and they kind of covered his tracks. But the guy named Edward York, who's like I said, employed with Duckworth's office, claimed he was attorney, got access to the detainee, the illegal alien, and then helped spur on paperwork to get him sprung and get him out. Now, I don't think he's out yet. So Todd Lyons, the acting director of ICE, is now sending out the blast email or letter to everybody saying, please prioritize Americans over the illegal aliens. But that's going to fall on deaf ears. So a staff member for a United States senator goes so far as to lie about his status as an attorney, all in an effort to help an illegal alien who's a convicted criminal and has already been deported 4 times. But that's the value structure. And that's the value structure of the people who are doing all this violent protest and confronting law enforcement, and J.B. Pritzker calling for more activism. That's who they're valuing over the actual country and the law and order that the federal government legitimately has, which is immigration policy. Now, you're an attorney, Susie. When you hear somebody lied and misrepresented himself as an attorney, I suspect attorneys take that kind of personally.
I believe I do.
But there's a legal ramification for that as well.
Yeah, it's not legal to do that either.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. Okay, so I am a licensed attorney. I went through law school. I got my degree. I got passed the bar exam. But my license is inactive right now because I am not practicing law. So if someone comes to me right now and says, "Hey, can you help me out with this ticket?"
Yeah.
I mean, am I physically able to do it? Sure. Am I legally and ethically able to do it? No. And you know what? I don't do it. I tell
Right.
them, hey, go talk to this person.
Right.
I'm not actively practicing right now. But that's somebody who actually earned that license.
Right.
I don't that makes me mad. Makes me
Right.
very mad.
And and obviously because this was your vocation.
Yeah.
And you could go back to at any time.
I could.
Uh,
I would have to reactivate my license and
Right.
pay the fee to do it.
Sure. But in this case, to me, what's jumped out at me, because a lot of people are going to get caught up in the lying and all that sort of thing. But I'm looking at these cases and what they have in common, because you would think CDLs and illegal alien here, because not all CDLs were given to illegal aliens. Many of them were legal aliens. Now, some of them were given to illegal aliens. We know that because of the catastrophic effect we've seen in some of these cases.
Correct.
But it is the current far left value system that says who and what we're supposed to value is last place, who and what we're supposed to be protected from is our priority.
Mm-hmm.
It's all backwards.
It is
At least
all
that's how
backwards.
I see it, being the constitutionalist conservatarian that I am.
And that's true of so across the board on issues, whether it's this, whether it's the trans issue.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things where what you would think would be the shared value, even if you have different approaches to get there, is completely,
Right.
but it's been turned on its head.
I saw a clip and somebody put this up on social media recently, and there was clips of previous presidential debates. Nixon, Kennedy, Reagan, Mondale, even Perot, Clinton, or Perot, Gore, I think it was. And even that recently, you heard them say, like Nixon said, we share the goals for our country. We just have different ways to get there. And you heard them say, well, I agree with them on that. Or I think there's a better way. And what you saw was at a time when Republican and Democrat was different, but not that different. Now we're completely different tribes, whereas before we were different social clubs.
Well, and I relate to that whole concept
Right.
very, very much so, because I used to be of the other tribe.
Right.
I was a Democrat. I was a liberal Democrat until I was my mid 30s, if I could talk. So, and my whole family still is. So I know that mindset, and it isn't what you see coming from the left. It's different from my current mindset as a conservative,
Right.
but I can still see them. Like I can still see it. We're in the same ballpark. I don't know, the progressive left, it's not even in the same city.
Yeah.
Just like Susie, I used to be a very more liberal leaning Democratic person. When I was a teenager, then after you get to college, you learn the way the world really is. I was a little bit more centrist, but I always felt that maybe it's just a matter of, we can get together and we could talk about it. We could figure it out. And it was actually the Democrats my age and a little bit older than me, the way that they were behaving, the things that they were saying, and just their overall view of America as this evil, tyrannical, imperialist needs to be destroyed, and everything we build needs to be given away because we all got it illegit. That ideology is like an actual ingrained value of theirs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot be part of this. This is absolutely insane. And then, moving to Kentucky and then Missouri, I started to realize, like, wow, why don't conservatives have all these issues that liberals have? Well, because they have values. I wouldn't even say Democrats, but if liberals did not have double standards, they would have no standards at all. And they have, and I don't want to say it's all of them, but there is such a concept as using an established group of people that might have good intentions as like smokescreen, while you are engaging in this radicalization of other people and recruiting people for whatever nefarious things you have. And I think that this is a very large side effect of it. There is not a single reason I can think of, citizen or not, if you're somebody that is a criminal with DUIs that does not value other people enough to regulate their own behavior, to be safe about things, to try to infiltrate, so like you're a 007 James Bond spy, to try to get them out of there. There's no reality where you are doing that with anything but malice for your surrounding communities.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it. It's like, if we want to put it in Kamala terms, the Venn diagram, they really used to actually be overlapping part of the circles, and now they're like this.
Yeah. It's we're not the same. We should be able to sit down and have coffee. I mean, and I've still got, some friends on the left that they're out there. We can talk. And there are some that we just know not to talk about this.
Yeah.
We just know to talk about baseball. We know to talk about rock music. We know to talk about, whatever. We just don't talk about this. And it's not getting better. I mean, we've gone from disagreement to divide to now enemies. And I don't know that we're being left with much of a choice on that right now. So those of you on the left, I mean, we're about to do a news dump here in a couple minutes. I'll make room if you can say, no, Mike, you don't understand. Here's why our value system is the right one. I'm all ears. So are thousands of people watching and listening right now. Let me know. 314-912-1019.
Absolutely. And also, because we're approaching the end of the hour, I would be remiss if I did not say this is your last call for 80s bump music requests for Flashback Friday. Today's theme, or tomorrow's theme, I should say. It's going to be those headbanging songs, anything. Mike's got a fantastic Striper hoodie on.
I'm just saying.
I believe they got some 80s stuff out there too, don't they? Oh, yeah. So we want to hear, make a big Striper day. Send your request to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
I just checked the events planned at Lit Cigar Lounge, so I'm planning a lot of time there. Top of the line cigars, premium whiskey. Check out litstl.com and join me. Hey, and if we get hungry, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, just a few doors down. We can order from the menu, be at our table within minutes. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley and Lit Cigar Lounge, litstl.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
We play all the great songs you know and love, but that don't get played on the radio anymore. Stones, Doobies, Genesis, Bruce, Steve Miller. They all have great tunes the big corporate stations ignore. But we play them along with a healthy dose of pop culture. Also, this week's A-List interview of the week is with SNL alum Bill Hader. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL.
I did something I'm not proud of. I bought a mattress off the internet. No lie, it showed up like a giant burrito. It was lumpy and my back still angry. Then I went to Snooze. They use real Mayo Clinic pressure mapping technology to find my perfect mattress for my body, not some algorithm. And during Black Friday, I saved up to $900 on Stearns & Foster, and I could have saved $600 off Beauty Rest Black. Lesson learned. Snooze is local, expert, and fully stocked. If you don't snooze, you lose.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's over.
Yay.
Schumer shutdown is over.
Okay.
Democrats are like, oh, crap. All right. Former area police chief faces a very long prison sentence, potentially. I think he's going to do some time. I think he's going to do some serious time. And the government has ended the production of one of our units of currency. Yeah.
End of an era.
End of an era. It happened.
A long era.
Yeah. Yeah. Since the 1700s. All right. It is, what time is it? 6:49. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. President Trump has signed that funding measure into law that ended the longest government shutdown in history. Congressman Jim Jordan was on Fox's Hannity saying the Democrats are caving in to their left-wing base.
They didn't change anything in this failed Obamacare that they want to continue to subsidize, but they did make it tough on military families, air traffic controllers, American families in general, all to appease the left and all to go after President Trump.
The basis of the bill funds the government through January, so we could be just a couple of months from the same sort of thing. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, big mad at Republicans over all this.
They have zero interest in fighting hard to make life better for the American people. Their philosophy,
my way or the highway, our response, get lost. We're going to continue to fight hard on behalf of the American people.
In other words, we lost.
Oh, yeah. That.
In other words, we talked tough and we lost.
Mhm.
And people got mad at us, except for the media. So now we have to try to clean up the mess and leverage this for 2026. Good luck with that.
Womp,
Yeah.
womp.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go into more depth on this. I think it's sometime in the 7:00 hour here. That $547 million electric vehicle battery plant project that was planned for North City is dead. The ICL group wanted to build a manufacturing plant near North Broadway. As you recall, because we talked about this when the grant was given, the Biden administration awarded the company about $200 million in federal funds to support the project. Just here you go. Green New Deal. You've got green energy, battery stuff. We want you to build this. Here you go. Here's the money. Trump administration says, on second thought, we're going to pull that back. Company says that means that the project is no longer, in their words, competitive, and they're going to have to find another way to build the manufacturing plant. They're going to go somewhere else to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's a great idea as long as almost half of it is covered by taxpayer funds.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah. And I remember when the announcement came out, that was 2-3 years ago, something like that. And Governor Parson put out a, press release, kind of praising the excitement of the announcement of the new project. And Gabe and I and Stell were kind of going, wait a minute. This is the great, just because it's here doesn't mean it's good.
Well, no.
I mean, if it's bad in Denver, it's bad in St. Louis.
Yeah. And if it's here and it's going to be productive and it's not going to be costing, it's actually
Right.
going to be, benefiting, that's great. But that doesn't sound like that's
Hey,
what this was.
If the private sector, hedge fund managers or uber rich, if they dug into their own pockets and said, we believe in this, we're going to upfront this as investors, great.
Mhm.
That's not what happened.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So let's go into that a little more depth, because I think there are going to be local officials who are going to feel pressure to lament what happened, but I don't think it's bad what happened. I think this is the best outcome that could be. So, but North City obviously struggles, and this would have been a boost to them.
It would have been.
Yeah. So I think there's a bigger picture. Okay. A former Metro police chief pleads guilty to defrauding government of over $150,000.
Whoops.
Yeah. Daniel Paulino, he used to be both the chief of police for Velda City, and he was also the city administrator.
Okay.
At some point, those overlapped. And the police department, as you may recall, was disbanded last year and sort of assimilated into the co-op. But on Wednesday in court, he admitted to taking city funds and using them for not only his personal businesses, but also for personal luxury travel. Paulino will be sentenced in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He faces 40 years in prison. I suspect he's going to do some time, but I don't think he's going to do 40 years.
Probably not 40 years,
Yeah.
but yeah, he definitely is going to spend some time in jail for that.
Yeah, as he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. These little tiny suburbs, these little tiny towns operating on a very thin margin. And so to sort of milk it just because you want to take like one of the things in the news articles that it was like discount luxury cruises and stuff like that. Just gross.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're doing that with other people's money.
Yeah.
And you're somehow excusing yourself from that.
Yeah. Velda City, not exactly Ladue.
No.
Just pointing out.
No.
So do you think as part of the sentence, every taxpayer should be allowed one slap?
Definitely.
Yeah.
A slap.
Yeah. Just
Not
a slap.
punch.
No. Just a slap.
Right.
Pick a part of the body, slap him on the hand, slap him on the arm, slap him on the cheek, whatever.
Maybe
forehead.
even with like a pool noodle. I mean,
There
like
you go,
it's not
something.
that
Yeah.
But yes, I think so.
I'm not saying violence is the answer, but I'm just saying is that maybe a little bit can be an incentive.
Gentle violence.
Yeah, there you go. Just to send a message. Okay. Uber's women only ride option is coming to St. Louis. Kind of. The idea has been tested in other cities, and it allows women to limit their rideshare driver options to only women drivers in order to help them feel more comfortable. But here's the thing. Here's the catch. Uber being very woke, the app allows anyone, passenger or driver, to declare themselves female and qualify for this because Uber is just that way. They're one of the companies that's bought into this sort of thing. So the woman a passenger request for a driver might not actually be a woman and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just completely fraught with issues.
Yeah, precisely.
No, and because I think Lyft tried to do something similar to this that completely
so.
failed like a while ago. But so if I were to present myself as a female driver, because all I have to do is say, yes, I'm a female.
That's all you gotta do, yep.
Totally, bro,
Mhm.
and then I show up and then people are canceling rides on me. Would I be able to sue them for discrimination?
Then
kind of suit,
clearly
or-
they are bigoted against your identity.
So, but is there any terms of service thing in there that says, hey, by the way, don't be trying to expect to do that, because otherwise,
Not that I've seen, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I
Because-
think there'd be a problem if you were saying someone has to get into a
Yeah.
car that they're not comfortable getting into.
or if I'm the one supposed to be picked up,
Right.
and then the female's like, no, I'm not taking this ride. Then I can
Mhm.
say, well, you are representative. Is that legally? Would that work? Asking for a friend?
That might be. So that's what I was thinking about too. Is like, can women, actual women Uber drivers,
Yeah.
biological women, can they limit who they'll pick up? I don't think it works that direction.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean-
know that there's an issue with that from an equal protection because
Yeah.
of the way that our laws are. So
I mean, they don't have to take any rides that pop up on their thing. They don't
Mhm.
have to. They're independent contractors.
right.
But once they take it, are they committed? I don't know
Yeah.
on that. But that's because Uber and Lyft both. I've got both apps because I'm like, okay, both of them went super woke on this when the whole trans thing was going crazy. Both of them were like, we're dedicated to diversity and we're pro, and they make like a big deal, and you had to click on the agreement of their terms of service that you're not going to disparage and you're not going to, all this sort of stuff. So now you got something that could really bite them in the butt.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Mm.
So interesting here. Okay, the U.S. Mint has minted the last penny to be produced.
Kind of sad.
Yep, it cost about 3.7 cents, about 4 cents to make a 1 cent penny now.
Hmm.
So the process to phase it out has begun, and of course, all pennies you have now are still legal tender currency. The last penny was made in Philadelphia yesterday.
Good riddance.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special: personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations: North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. After a 7-week shutdown, the federal government is open for business once again. House lawmakers passed a funding bill last night on a vote of 222 to 209. and President Trump signed the measure into law. He blamed Democrats for the shutdown, which hurt commercial air travel.
Over the past 7 weeks, the Democrats' shutdown has inflicted massive harm. They caused 20,000 flights to be canceled or delayed.
The Department of Transportation and the FAA say flight reductions will stay at 6% at 40 major U.S. airports instead of rising to 10% by the end of the week. With the shutdown over, full food aid benefits will resume, but how fast SNAP payments reach beneficiaries could vary on a state-by-state basis. More than 40 million Americans depend on the food assistance program. MSNBC is getting a name change this weekend. Bob Agnew tells us the cable network is formally switching over to MS Now.
It's all part of the corporate divorce from NBC News. NBC Universal's parent company, Comcast, spun most of its cable networks off into a new company, primarily because cable networks are not seen right now as desirable in the new media world. Now the once powerful MSNBC finds itself embracing the ethos of a startup. The network's lineup remains the same, but it has built a new studio and hired a new reporting staff. Bob Agnew reporting.
Turkey has temporarily grounded its C-130 military cargo planes as a precaution. This following a crash that claimed the lives of all 20 military personnel on board earlier this week. On Wall Street yesterday, the Dow Industrials set a record high for a second day in a row. This morning, Dow futures down a fraction. More at townhall.com.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the week and a little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into the lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice.
Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, I just feel silly right now. My coffee is sitting in the
Yeah.
coffee machine. I made it. I just forgot to go get it.
Wow.
So I couldn't do my Kofifi dance with my Kofifi.
And you know, it's hard to really get into the groove with that
Right.
music. It's hard to, and especially if you don't have your coffee in your hand.
And that's the thing, which shows more than anything that I need the coffee.
Absolutely.
Because I just went brain dead for a second, made the coffee, came here. We're talking about some like radio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The music hits, and then I look up and I'm like, well, that was dumb, Mike. I'll go get my cold coffee at the end of our discussion.
That's so sad.
Chris
That's so
R.
sad.
Oh my goodness. All right. 7:06 right now. First world problems here. First world radio show host problems here. All right. We're now joined by political pundit extraordinaire. You know, you can see him on Newsmax TV all the time.
I heard that.
And if you want more of Chris Arps, and Newsmax just isn't enough, you can hear him every afternoon here on News Talk STL.
And you might even hear him tomorrow.
Maybe.
Here in the morning.
Maybe. Maybe. All right, Chris. So let's break this down. A couple different parts of the Schumer shutdown being over. Democrats real big mad. One, I think because they lost, but two, I think they're mad at Schumer himself, which I want to get to in just a minute. But I've been asking the question, okay, Republicans won, but what did they win, if anything? I mean, I likened it to, okay, they held firm, they held strong, as Susie pointed out a little bit ago, but is it a matter of they really won something, or congratulations, you did not allow the house to be burned down. You didn't burn down your own house. So good on you. So what's the right way to look at this for the Republicans? Let's start there.
I think what Republicans won is they showed the American people that the Democrats are divided, that they are going through a civil war right now. And they're going between their far left progressive base and the more moderate parts of their coalition. I think it also showed that they played pure politics with it. They were willing to have people not have their food benefits. They were willing for federal workers not to get paid, all in order to quote unquote leverage to try to hurt Republicans. So I think Republicans win in that battle. I think if you want to give the Democrats any type of win, I think that this Obamacare subsidies in healthcare and affordability, to be able to wrap those things together. I think that's one thing where Republicans are vulnerable right now. Tim and I have a debate going on the show about these Obamacare subsidies, and I wrote a Red State article about it. The Obamacare subsidies, the super subsidies that occurred during the pandemic, they are going to be extended. What's going to happen is Republicans are going to ask that these extended benefits either be paid for or that they are means tested, so that people making $200,000 a year do not get benefits. The White House has put out a proposal that instead of that money going to the insurance companies, that the money should go into people's health savings accounts where they can buy the insurance themselves. But I'm telling you right here now, the subsidies will be extended, but not in the form that they are right now.
He has staked his claim. He has
Right,
planted his flag. We're going to see how that plays out. Chris, we've been talking about this a lot, about the Democrats kind of in disarray and leadership, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously, Hakeem Jeffries is the House Minority Leader and Chuck Schumer is the Senate Minority Leader. Do you see any changes coming soon, anytime soon, in terms of congressional leadership for the Dems?
I don't think in the House. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries back in March, he stood and didn't want to approve the joint resolution. If you look during this standoff, he stood strong. He still didn't want the government to reopen. There's a lot of pressure, of course, on Chuck Schumer. People are talking about AOC challenging him, which is, I think, is a realistic option. But if you look at the Democrats, they are mad at Chuck Schumer, but nobody is coming really forward in the Senate, in their Senate caucus to challenge him or to say that they want a new leadership. So I think he survives. I think the big question right now swirling around Chuck Schumer is, will he run for reelection in a couple of years?
Right.
Yeah, and that's that also shows. I mean, because Chuck Schumer, you really can't accuse him of being a moderate, but he's not as far fringe as your AOCs and people like that. So he
never did endorse Mandami, remember?
Right. Well, it's weird that not endorsing a communist puts you outside of the
Right.
mainstream.
What does that say?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so then where do we go from here? I mean, so we're going to have the vote on the subsidies as they are now, which is the Democrats are going to lose again. I think you're right that this gives them something to run on in 2026, which I think is really what they cared about. But where do we go from here? We've got funding now through January. Are we going to be right back in the same situation 2 months from now?
I mean, we may be. The Democrats, they are going to, this is their holy grail, the Obamacare subsidies and health care. Some of them have threatened that they will shut the government down again if nothing is done by January 30th. So I think it would be a very stupid move because we saw this last shutdown. They really didn't win anything. But what Republicans need to do right now is they need to come up with some type of health care plan to blunt this affordability and healthcare crisis, because at the end of the year, that's when these subsidies run out and people's health insurance does go up, and they don't want to go into the midterm elections with Democrats running commercials about some poor person that can't afford their health insurance and are suffering. So that's probably the critical thing right now. We have to come up with a health care plan, and we really haven't come up with a plan to really thwart Obamacare or have an alternative.
Does that mean, Chris, are you saying that the Republicans are going to have to come up and sell some sort of Obamacare light and say, well, our socialist plan is better than theirs?
Well, I don't know if it has to be necessarily Obamacare plan, but I mean, let's come up with some type of marketplace type of solutions to improve healthcare over what we have now. I think that's what we need to do. When I was working for Senator Talon, he had a brilliant plan that they were called associated health plans, where different industries that can come together, they can pool their resources together and buy insurance for their employees. I thought that was a very good plan, and it was a bipartisan plan. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon co-sponsored that with Jim Talon at that time. So I think we can reform Obamacare with marketplace solutions.
Be worth a try for sure. Chris,
Yeah,
one
exactly.
one of the other things that I said was maybe arguably a win for the Republicans in this is there were 3 appropriations measures passed as part of
Yeah.
this in the regular order, which has not happened for over 2 decades. There's 9 more to go. And they have to get those figured out in some way before January 30th. I mean, we kind of touched on this already, but do you think they're going to be able to do that, or at least do some of them and then maybe do a CR for the remaining ones? Or what do you think? What do you see happening?
Mike Johnson, that's something when he became speaker, he said he wanted Congress to get back to regular order. And that was something that was part of his, part of what he wanted to do. And as you said, 3 out of the 12 funding bills did get passed. So I think that's something that's going to occur, but I don't think it's going to occur before January 30th. I think we'll probably have to have another continuing resolution like we did this time, because, trying to hammer out all these details, especially in an election year where both sides can come together and have a bipartisan funding deal, is going to be difficult. But I would put it 50-50 that maybe for the first time, as you said, in decades, we can have all 12 spending bills passed in regular order. I don't think it'll happen before January 30th, though.
I mean, is that a matter of the Democrats, if they don't have the leverage, hey, we can shut the government down again, that they feel like they're losing leverage? I mean, do the Democrats need that to be able to hold that threat over people? Is that one of the reasons that we could not get that actual budgeting?
I think, the January 30th is the deadline. I think they are still holding fast to this Obamacare thing, and they think that is a winning issue for them, along with affordability. So I think they're going to try to milk that as long as they can. But these government shutdowns, they're just not effective. And I think also, we've seen Republicans do these government shutdowns, they don't work. We've seen the Democrats do government shutdowns, they don't work. We may have seen the last of government shutdowns for quite a while, because now both sides realize they really don't work, and you end up losing more than you win.
Hopefully they got it out of their system.
Exactly.
Well, Chris, one of
New
the
Year's resolution, no more shutdowns.
no more shutdowns. Chris, one of the big topics of discussion during the shutdown, of course, was the possibility of doing away with the filibuster. And I don't know if I've ever really explored with you. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I see the arguments on both sides of it.
I do too, and I can identify or I can understand Republicans' frustration with the filibuster, especially having all three controls of the government. But look, the political pendulum swings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Democrats are going to be in power one day, hopefully not soon.
Yep.
And I see with the elimination of the filibuster, I see 4 more Democratic senators when they make Puerto Rico and D.C. a state. I see them nationalizing elections, which is what they want. I see the erosion of gun rights. I just don't think it's worth it to me to eliminate the filibuster for short-term gain, to have such long-term damage of what the Democrats can do. I'm not in favor of getting rid of it. It's a protection for the minority. It's the old cliche, but I agree with that.
I 100% agree with you, Chris.
I'm just worried that that's what the Dems are going to do the next time they have power.
Right. Well, and that
It's mutually assured destruction has gone away.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, I completely agree with your take on that, Chris. I think that's 100% right. Very, very short-term thinking for one term as opposed to long-term, ability to affect policy. Because you're right, pendulum swings back and forth. Democrats can be in control at some point. And it could be as early as the House after 2026. It could be as early as the White House in 2029. We don't know. I mean, maybe the Republicans hold on. We don't know. But yeah, you don't take away the arms when that guarantees you have to lay down your arms.
And this too, Mike. I mean, 4 more Democratic senators. That's an uphill climb to overtake that. And those are going to be 4 permanent Democratic senators.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, Chris Arps here every afternoon with Tim Jones here on NewsTalkSTL. A little bit early in the day. You guys got anything put together for this afternoon already yet?
Thursday, we speak with Steve Bucci. He's our fellow there at the Heritage Foundation that talks about military issues. So there's a lot going on. Saudi Arabia is looking to do a peace deal, or not a peace deal, but is looking to do a defense contract or pact with the United States. And before I let you go, you mentioned Newsmax. I'm going to be on Newsmax Saturday afternoon, the Wendy Bell Show at 4:00. And then I'm going to do on Sunday on Newsmax, Wake Up America. I'll be on at 7:15 on a panel. So a lot of Newsmax weekend.
A lot of Chris Arps everywhere. You cannot escape him.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Susie, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Hey,
Thanks.
One way to look at it is that the St. Louis area is losing like 150 jobs.
Yeah.
But another way to look at it is that taxpayers have been saved hundreds of millions of dollars. So let's compare the pros and cons of that and a project that's no longer happening. We'll talk about that at 7:20.
There's no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this.
All right. Thanksgiving's coming up. A lot of the turkeys that you can get at the different stores and everything, do you know that they're like inflated with a bunch of like water and other things to make them look more plump and juicy and all this sort of thing? You can get an actual grass-fed real turkey from Nutrition Stop. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Nutrition Stop, nutritionstop.com. I talk about the groceries I get there every week. I'm going to be in there tomorrow to restock on a few things, but also the nutritional supplements and even skincare products. But right now, they are taking orders for locally grown turkeys for Thanksgiving, but you need to get in there or at least call them and get on the list sooner rather than later. I think it's about $5 a pound. So it's really, really comparable what you're going to get somewhere else. They're taking a small deposit for it just to make sure that all the turkeys are going to be picked up, but they're going to be natural. They're going to be grass fed. I don't believe they're frozen at all. So these are going to be directly from the farm to you. Nutritionstop.com for more information on that. If you're going to have a great Thanksgiving, you can have a great tasting turkey and know that it is healthier than what you may get at the big box store. I'm just saying. And Nutrition Stop has been locally making St. Louis a better, healthier place for over 20 years. So go check them out. I got to restock on a couple of things myself on Friday, but nutritionstop.com. It's not even just the nutritional supplements and vitamins, and they have great stuff there. But also things like skincare products, what you put in your body, what you put on your bodies. Right off of Mexico Road near Cave Springs and I-70, just put in Nutrition Stop on your maps. It'll take you right there.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
With Larry Connors USA, you get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again.
because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Elevate your brand's visibility with Fast Signs of Bridgeton, your local experts in visual solutions. From custom signs and banners to eye-catching graphics and displays, we bring your vision to life. Need indoor decor, outdoor signage, or vehicle wraps? Our team delivers quality and creativity on time, every time. Don't just make a statement, make an impression. Visit Fast Signs of Bridgeton, proud partner of the St. Louis Blues and preferred sign company of St. Louis University Athletics. Visit fastsigns.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Okay, so do we still support clawing back all that Green New Deal spending when it's pulled back from our neighborhood? Does that change things? Let's have an honest discussion about that here in just a second. It is 7:22. No shortage of high stakes craziness right now. Susie, what's the Red State team covering today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, we were talking about like government corruption. There's a problem out in California. Newsom's, I know, corruption, California. Newsom's former chief of staff was arrested and charged with 23 felonies in a federal conspiracy and fraud case. It's related to a scheme to divert approximately $225,000 in funds from a dormant political campaign. Jennifer Van Laar has that story at Red State. But yeah, it's everywhere. We've got a story from Bob Hogue about a sky-high bridge collapse in China. It was connecting China and Tibet, and it kind of raises some questions about their Belt Road Initiative and their engineering practices.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Ward Clark had a great piece yesterday, said, we don't need tariff rebate checks, and I have 38 trillion reasons why. I think that headline kind of explains itself.
Yeah, I want to check that one out.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I got a pretty strong personal take on that one as well. All right, redstate.com. That's where you get all that goodness and a whole lot more as well. Okay, coming on 7:24 right now. All right, so I mentioned this in the news dump. 2-3 years ago, the Biden administration announces their giveaways, billions of dollars for the renewable energy stuff, the Green New Deal stuff. Some of it's actual renewable energy. Other is just, handouts to the favored industries at the time. And among that was $200 million for this EV manufacturing plant that was going to go in North City. At the time, the only jerks who were saying this isn't a good thing was, frankly, this morning show. But because we were going, wait a minute. So a 500, I think at the time they said 550 million. So $547 million plant, 150 full-time, pretty well-paying jobs. And they were targeting North City, which is obviously one of the poorest, most disadvantaged areas in the region.
Sure.
And not even North County, North City, And so the governor puts out a press release saying what a great thing this is. We questioned Governor Parsons' press release going, wait a minute, this is the Green New scam stuff. And we had a few people that went, hey. But if you're going to do it here. Just be glad it's here. Well, my take at the time was, but it's not good. And so the Trump administration comes in and says they're clawing back hundreds of millions, or maybe it was a couple $1 billion in all of these handouts. and the far left goes screeching, about it. And then among that is the $200 million, close to half of this project, which, by the way, this wasn't like a public-private partnership. This was, here's the money, go have a business.
I could start a business with $200 million.
Right. Yeah.
I'm confident of it.
And I would make a profit.
I'd find a way.
Yes. And so this company, that was going to get the $200 million, now they've announced, well, now it's not competitive. We're not going to be able to do this. We're just pulling the plug on the whole thing. So I suspect you're going to start, hearing some local media, some local officials lamenting the fact that the cruelty of the Trump administration has cost these high-tech renewable energy jobs, 150 jobs in the region that needed them the most because of just Orange Man Band. And so to be consistent, I think we need to point out, no, if this was going to be bad in Denver or Madison or Sheboygan, then it's bad here too. And I don't feel bad about saying that, even though there's probably some people in North City who are like, wait a minute, this was going to be a shot in the arm for our local economy and trying to revive. And I am sympathetic to that.
Sure.
But it's still the wrong way to do it.
So I've got a bright spot here.
Yes.
We were talking earlier about the great divide between the left and the right, and how while we used to maybe want the same things, just have different ideas about how they could get there, now it doesn't even seem like we want the same things.
Right.
This might be an area where we want the same things. We want North St. Louis to be revitalized.
Yep.
We want there to be investment there. We want there to be building. We want it to be a thriving area, but we disagree on the way to get there.
Right.
And just a government handout subsidy that's basically there to prop it up isn't the right way to go.
Right. Because it's temporary. Secondly, everybody else has to pay for it. And you made an excellent point a little bit earlier. So if it's not competitive without hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money that's just given to you and taken from other people, then it's not competitive. I would maintain that if you can't stand on your own without taking money from other people, you don't have a competitive business. There's no market for what you're doing.
Well, let's take the sports analogy.
Yeah.
You're a marathon runner, but in order to get to place well in a marathon, you have to start out 13 miles ahead of everybody else.
Yes.
That's not competitive.
I would have to start out 25 miles ahead of everybody else. I would totally do the marathons except for all that running.
Yeah. I've done 4 halves, but I've never done a whole.
Yeah. I'm no.
I mean, if you put them together, I've actually done 2 marathons, but just saying.
Yeah. I'll sit behind home plate and just get
and
pelted.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Pelted with baseballs. I'd rather do that. But yeah, I mean, this is an economic reality, but if you live in North City and you just get the word, I was going to have a shot at making a good salary. Me and 149 other people doing some high-tech stuff, that's got to be disheartening. And I get that.
Sure.
And I get for the city, the aldermen who represent North City. And I imagine for the mayor, this is a big blow to them. But the economic reality is it was not going to stand on its own. So this wasn't going to make it anyway. So you could have a temporary shot in the arm done in an unethical way. Or we could just say, let's be honest about it and not do this. If you can do it on your own, go at it. Nobody said you can't do it. They just said you have to do it on your own.
Well, and let's look at the underlying issue here. This was for EV batteries, right?
Correct.
Haven't we seen a shift in the demand for, and I'm saying demand in air quotes, because the demand wasn't all that high to begin with. It was a forced demand situation. So, I mean, would that business even be viable?
At the moment, no.
Yeah, let's say you had the investors lined up and you knew what you were doing. Is that a viable business model without the government?
Right.
Either way.
I would argue if it were a viable business model and investors said, ooh, there's a demand for this, I'm getting in on the action, I'm going to make some money, they would be lined up to do it now.
This is true.
The fact that they're not shows you, the market is showing you this is not viable or it's oversaturated.
Hey, I have an idea.
Yes.
People that were thinking about getting a job doing that. I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but I understand that there's probably a demand for truck drivers.
Yeah.
Who can speak English.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm quite confident that most of the residents of North St. Louis City can speak English.
Yes.
So, there's trade-offs there. I get it.
But that's the thing where, if it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's harder to still say that when it's in your neighborhood. And this is about as sympathetic a picture as you could possibly imagine, because this is the type of thing that the left wants to campaign on, saying this is why we need government to be inflicting all of this green energy scam stuff on us instead of letting the market bring renewable energy to the mix, which I'm not against all of that. I'm just saying do it in a market sustainable way.
Mm-hmm.
So something else that is going on is we still have that amazing food drive that's going on. You might see these big old bins that have our logo on them. Those are not trash cans. Those are food cans. You put your canned food, your non-expirable goods, you put them in there. You can find them all around the area. I mean, I think it'd be fun if we try to make this some sort of scavenger hunt type thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
But get out there.
Find all the bins.
Yeah. So go out there. If you happen to drop off some food, send me a photo. Let me know that you're there.
Tag NewsTalkSTL, tag all of us. Our social media handles are all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And just as a reminder, please no milk and no eggs, nothing perishable. Okay.
No, right. No.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the weekend. A little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into the lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Born in 1987, at 5 weeks old, this mixed race, mostly black boy was adopted by a white couple. He ended up getting into college and proved that he had the mental toughness, the ability, the skill to play. Soon he had a $126 million contract. $54 million could be earned in bonuses. And then in 2016, he sat on the bench during the national anthem. Why? He was worried about racial disparity, multi-million dollars and his disparity. And of course, about police brutality and everything else. And so began the demise of the NFL. Now contrast that 1949 season to this last Sunday. This last Sunday, many were flying flags, honoring our Americans. Kaepernick had a right to do what he wanted under our First Amendment, but just because he had the right to do didn't mean he should. And to me, it gave me great heart to see once again U.S. flags honored, praised, recognized at the NFL.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Okay, so the name Epstein back in the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. White House angry about a batch of Jeffrey Epstein emails released by some House Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
There is more to the story, and the fact that this is getting diced up so much, I say a pox on both of their houses because they are distorting the effort for actual justice here on this. Greg Cluxton from Town Hall Media's got the update for us.
Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released emails from Epstein, the late sex offender. In one of the messages, Epstein wrote Donald Trump knew about the girls. An email from 2011 alleged that he had spent hours at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim. The president accused Democrats of trying to deflect from their political failures, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the emails were selectively leaked to smear President Trump. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so objectively speaking, they absolutely were cherry-picked, you know, without a doubt. Because, by the way, they kept saying the victim, the trafficking victim in there, they redacted that. Well, that victim, who was a victim, is one of those who said, well, yeah, but Trump didn't do anything with the girls.
Right.
You know, how do you pronounce her name?
Virginia Giuffre.
Giuffre. I did. It was a harder soft G. I always read it, but never said out. Giuffre. That's who they redacted. And she's on record saying, well, no, he didn't do it.
Right. She's actually the most well-known victim.
Right.
And she was very clear about the fact that he had not done anything inappropriate with the girls.
Right. And so these Democrats wanted to release a few of these. Now, by the way, we'll get to the whole Epstein files vote thing here in just a minute. But this shows such bad faith. I don't give a crap who ends up looking bad when the information comes public. I don't care if it's my favorite politician, then there won't be my favorite politician anymore. I want the truth and I want justice on this. And I don't care where the chips fall, but I don't think either party is pursuing justice. I think they're both hiding something. And I think they both have incentives to try to keep this under wraps as much as they can.
And here's the dangerous part of that on top of everything else. There are people who may have been associated with Jeffrey Epstein or may have interacted with or been in his circle or in some way been in that world and not having done anything illegal or unethical to just happen to be in the same vicinity. So they get swept up in this too. As soon as you say, and Trump is the perfect example.
We know he's in the files because he was on the plane.
Right. Let's assume for argument's sake, well, he's a bad example because he's the one they're targeting to use. What I'm saying is there are people, Alan Dershowitz.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had to fight to clear his name, and he did. He actively, affirmatively proved a negative as best as you possibly can because he was being besmirched because he was, his name was used in conjunction with. Right. But he didn't do the deeds.
Right. Precisely.
So, and that's one of the reasons that they're saying some of the documents and evidence it's double-edged sword because just because someone's name is in there doesn't mean that they did something wrong.
Right. Those who have spoken up who were victims have said, well, yeah, when Trump is acknowledged, he goes, I took some flights on the plane, but there's nothing to indicate he actually participated in the abuse or was around it.
Or went to the island.
Right. Or went to the island. Right. And you can't say that same thing about some other high-profile names.
That's true. And Giuffre actually worked for him at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. She worked at Mar-a-Lago, so there was an additional connection there.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, I'm with you. I want it just let's let everything out in the open, sunlight, best disinfectant. But I also say that you have to be careful with that, so that somebody whose name is brought up isn't wrongly characterized as having done something wrong when they didn't.
See, and the fact that you've got to look at that delicately to protect the innocent, also shows the opportunity that both parties have to distort this.
True.
And that's let's say that Thomas Massey gets his 218 votes, which it looks like he has, because I think the Arizona representative who's just sworn in, I think she's I think she's the 218th signatory on this.
Yeah.
So they're going to be able to force this. They may force these files to be released.
Yeah, but you know what happened last night? Did you see what happened with Tim Burchett?
What'd he do?
He brought a unanimous consent motion to the floor, which would basically shortchange any debate, and invited the Democrats to do unanimous consent to open up the files. They wouldn't bite. They didn't do it.
Now, does that end the effort to?
No, I don't think it. I don't think it negates the other vote effort, like Massey's effort or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he offered it up as a UC motion, and the Democrats wouldn't agree to it.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know what the story would be behind that.
Well, I mean, if you know the story behind Epstein and the people he was hanging out with mostly, and the party that he was affiliated with, and who he was donating to, I'm just saying there's a lot of blue elephants in that, on that side of things.
And so here's the thing: is there may very well be some current and former office holders who are going to be exposed. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
I have a feeling there's probably a lot of good friends and money people involved that benefit both sides, and they're circling the wagons to protect the gravy train as much as anything.
That's it too. And here's one other thing. And this is something that I think a lot of people have this perception that we know that Epstein did these things.
Oh yeah.
We know that he and Ghislaine Maxwell did. There's some indication from the legal documents and the court documents that we have right now that as pervasive as their abuse of these young women was, they may not have been trafficking them to others, or at least not a whole host of others. It may have just been them primarily abusing them and then running in these circles with the others. So it's not entirely clear. Like, I think people have this idea that there was this ginormous
network
of people engaging in this, abuse of these young women, and that may not actually be the case.
You know how we're going to find out?
If they open up all the files.
Release the files. What would be a huge relief for a lot of us is if they release the files and we go, oh, this wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. Okay, it's bad. Obviously, what we know is really bad. But if it's not what we think it is, like what you're saying, okay, but at least we know the truth. The other side of this is, oh my God, this really happened, and we allowed this to happen. There's a 2 or 3 tier system of justice in this country.
And this is where the administration really, really blew it.
Yes.
They did not handle this well.
No.
Well, and that's the thing that actually concerns me. As much as I want to be optimistic because of the fighting that Thomas Massey and I think Ro Khanna, the Democrat that's been insisting with this, we still have it pinned up right here, the official FBI DOJ report where they said, well, we've looked into all this. Nobody did anything with anybody besides Epstein and Ghislaine, and there's no other conspirators. But you go back to the actual court files that were publicly released, and it says, well, we know about these employees that we're not going to name, but these were the assistants. These were people that helped facilitate it. So if they're already saying that there's nothing else to look into and that there's no reason to pursue it, case closed, but we know that there are people that have not been named that were involved in that. I mean, how optimistic should we really be about this?
Bondi's talked out of both sides of her mouth on this already. Yeah,
she has. The administration has not handled this well.
No.
And I honestly do think if there was something really damning about Donald Trump, that would have been brought out a long time ago.
They would have buried him with that years ago.
I really don't think there's there as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
But yeah, they needed to do a much better job with this. And the bottom line is there's got to be a way to kind of, bring the information forward without inadvertently damning people that shouldn't be swept up in it. That's where I think the concern is.
Yeah. I mean, and as far as those who are involved, somebody's being protected. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let the bleeding happen. And then the chips fall wherever they may. And listen, be prepared. It might be some people, quote unquote, on our side.
100%.
And they should get 100% justice because if they're caught up on this, then we say, you're not on our side. I don't care how you vote.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it ties into like the whole congressional slush fund too.
Yep.
Yep. I don't know. There's a lot of questions there. You know what? This is the last call for your Flashback Friday bump music. Get your suggestions, submissions into producer Jerome so we can have some bumping music tomorrow.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
The people know the truth.
on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or Inversion vodka. Just register now at NewsTalkSTL.com and come experience what Missouri Ozark Highlands craftsmanship really tastes like. At our tasting room in historic Defiance, you'll enjoy Stolock whiskey, Inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in a beautiful cocktail lounge, our cigar room, or out on the patio every weekend. And right now, win a bottle of Stolock or Inversion at NewsTalkSTL.com. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kate Monroe. I was in the Marine Corps. I don't think people really understand that the National Guard is essentially your neighbors. I mean, this would be like your house is on fire and all the great men and women on your block that are capable of helping you put out said fire, you call the police on them and then let your house burn down. That is essentially what these cities are doing. Because Orange Man wants to send people to help us, we're going to go ahead and let it just burn down.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's flooring outlets, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson, and together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Okay, there's another generational divide. So, Susie, we need to get Jerome's perspective on this sort of thing.
What do we do this time?
Okay, it's not get off my lawn. It's show me the legal tender or something like that.
Well, that's because we can't afford lawns, but
that's right.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay,
maybe.
yeah. So there's a survey. Cash App was one of those that did a survey. I saw the story on where was the story? I think it was on. It was Cash App did the story, but I think it was one of the money channels, one of the many TV channels covered it. A new poll finds an increasing number of Gen Zers, like over a third, think that paying with cash is cringe. Cringe. It's cringe to use cash.
I did not see that one coming, given the fact that a lot of younger people are also very concerned about going to a cashless kind of society. Did it specify whether these were like the metropolitan weirdo futurists?
Nope, just the age group.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So I do have some thoughts, but why, as somebody not part of that gender, why do you think that might be?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's just because it's old fashioned to pull out folded up, bills and pay something. It takes time to do that. That would be my guess. But, we go back to, you remember being taught the envelope method of budgeting when you didn't have a lot of money. Using cash is what we defaulted to not overspend. And in order to save money. I mean, that was, Ramsey adopted it into something a little bit later, but we called it the envelope system, but it relied on cash.
Oh, that's what envelopes are for.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I also think it involves having to do math.
Yeah, it could be.
When you hand somebody like a 20 and they're supposed to get you your change and they're like,
yeah,
not sure how to do this.
I have seen that. And by the way, it was CNBC where I found the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I think when particularly Gen Z. I mean,
Yes.
there have been debit cards, credit cards their entire lives.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just what they know. I mean, everything is digital, so why would there be cash? Plus,
Yeah.
there is. There I go again. There is the health aspect of it. You
In
know,
what
when
way?
you're exchanging cash, you're transferring germs.
Oh well, I guess. Yeah. I guess that's.
I was going to say, I mean, I don't think the germ element, you're talking about people that engage in hookup culture recreationally. So I don't think
I didn't say it was
germs-
rational.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was rational, but particularly, I mean, they became adults during COVID. So do you see what I'm saying? Like there may be some people may think it's less sanitary to be exchanging cash than to just be tapping your card on the thing.
Yeah, because beyond the ick that cash seems to give them, according to CNBC, 54% of Gen Z respondents said they're more likely to spend without thinking when they use cash versus paying with a card.
Oh, I'm gonna call BS on
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna say because that is completely opposite for
That is
everybody else.
baloney.
Yeah, and a similar share of millennials agreed. 33% of Gen X and 21% of baby boomers said they feel that way. So the older you get, the more you go, no, you're more accountable with actual cash.
And the logic does not hold up there. I'm
No,
sorry.
No, it doesn't.
So that was actually going to be sort of my initial reaction, is not so much that's an antiquated system, but I switched to actually going to the ATM to withdraw cash to keep myself limited in my spending. And I think that it's that feeling of, I feel bad spending cash, not just because I'm bad at math and I can't do, but also it makes me feel guilty in some sort of shameful way about what I'm spending my money on. Whereas I can just tap a card.
Why? You know why? Because it's real. You see, and yes, I know there's somebody who's like, that's not real money. It's legal tender money. It's money. For the sake of purposes, it's money. Okay. It's because you're watching the actual money go from your hand to somebody else's, whereas you tap a card, it's just numbers being switched around somewhere in the system.
Yes. And I think that there's that, again, a generational thing where you have to always be validated and praised, no matter how bad you are at something or no matter how dumb your decisions are. So when you see that you had a $20 or $40 going there, and then you see what you got for that, it's going to make you feel some sort of way you don't like, versus, oh, I can just tap my card and then I don't have to worry about it, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And I've met people like that. That's not, they don't make very good friends very long.
I think my first introduction to this was when my daughter was probably 7 or so, and she used to always ask me if she could clean her room. Yeah.
What?
Is it okay if I go clean my room? I'm like, I guess. Yeah. No, she's
You
always
talked me into it.
right. I don't know how, but she's always been kind of tidy that way. But so she was cleaning up a bunch of stuff and throwing out a bunch of stuff. And I go to grab the trash bags out of her room, and there's jingle, jingle, jingle in the trash bag. I'm like, what'd she put in here? There's a whole bunch of coins and change and money in there. And I was like, why are you throwing this away? She's like, well, I'm not using it. I'm like, that's the right attitude as far as keeping your life decluttered, but this actually has value. So we're going to pull that back out of the trash. Now, I think she's figured that out since
I
then,
would
but
hope so.
yeah,
So as an adult, I actually was dating somebody at the time, and that was part of the reason why they didn't carry cash too, is because they got tired of stuff falling out of their pockets when they're not paying attention. So I helped her clean out her car, and we probably found close to like $35 in loose change and bills.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, $35, and even if it might be chump change to some, that's not a small amount of money to keep falling out of your pockets. It's like, well, if I don't, that's why I carry my card now, and I do tap to pays. I don't have to worry about where all my coins and all my money's going.
Okay, did anybody here ever go to Walmart or the grocery store and pour your coins into the machine and be all excited because you could trade them for like bills?
Yes, until I saw how much I was not going to get back out of that.
See, it would depend on like when I was like newly single parent with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. I would take any coinage I could. I did not throw away any coins. I had a jar. I'd take it in. And if you did it at the grocery store or at Walmart, the way it was if you agreed to take a credit to buy stuff there, then you got 100% of it.
Oh.
Now, if you just wanted the cash, then they deducted, I don't know, 5% or something like that, whatever it was. But if I was going to go do grocery shopping,
why not?
I would just get the credit and I would use that.
I've not used those services, but I have the coin wrappers at home.
Oh,
when
I get
I have a big, collection of coins, I will sit down and sort through them and get my hands all dirty and put them in the wrappers, and then I'll take them to the bank.
So those are, I used to do that too. So that's nostalgic for us, but for a lot of people in your generation, they're probably looking and listening to us going, what is wrong with you two?
It's money.
Yes.
Look, I mean, right now on my kitchen counter, I probably have like, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks in coin wrappers that once I get enough of it, I'm going to take it to the bank. Well, okay, that's not a whole lot of money, but it it's going to do me a lot more.
Right.
It's going to do a lot more for me in my bank account than it is sitting in my car.
Right. That's right. I used to work with a financial planning group, and the guy who was the CEO of it had this big, huge tube bucket that he would pour his, extra change into. This was back in the 90s. And he was so proud. He would go take it to the bank and get like $200. Well, this guy's worth a couple $1 million, but he was so excited about his couple $100 from his coins. It was one of the strangest things I ever saw.
That's a legit thing, though.
It was.
I had a buddy like that. He was an older gentleman, but we were in the same kind of complex. I took him to go and turn in his coins. I'm like, why don't you go you have so many coins. The bank will help you sort them and count them and deposit 100% of them. No. The coin store is right around the street. Let's just go there. He lost. I mean, he gained a couple $100, but he lost close to $100 just from turning it in like that. It didn't seem to bother him. Now, to verify, I think something you said earlier about how they were raised under COVID, the article does say that part of the feeling as well is the exposure to the actual physical sensation of sitting there and waiting for somebody to count your change out and getting it back versus just being able to go boop and walk away.
That's true too.
I had not actually considered that, but we are a behavioral kind of people.
We are.
And regardless, I do want to say, though, I think paying with check is cringier than paying with cash.
That's 100%.
Yeah, but that's all just little old ladies.
Yeah.
Like 100% of the people that pay with checks are little old ladies.
Yeah.
So you got to give them a little slack.
Yeah. Yeah. But that has, even when that was normal, that was annoying.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But, I literally, the only time I ever see that anymore is at the grocery store, and she's definitely got gray hair and has probably got 30 years on me. So,
right.
I'm like,
so she's at least 50.
Bless you.
Yes. Yeah. But no, that was, that I will agree with those who say the writing checks thing is cringe. I completely agree with that.
I'm so old that I, worked retail when you had to do the whole, the credit card, and then you had to do the slip, and then you had to slide it. Chunk.
I did that too.
Oh man.
Yep.
Good times.
Oh yeah. Just saying, Gen Zers, get to know cash.
Don't be afraid of cash.
It will help you budget your money. I'm telling you.
And here's something it says to do as well that I actually kind of interested. So you have one debit card that you keep your general money on, but then you have a different one that is specifically only for your quote unquote fun money that you split your. That's
smart.
Actually I wish I had thought of that. That's actually a really cool idea.
Yep.
That is smart.
I've got one account for my business stuff here. I've got another account that's personal. Rachel and I have a joint account. She has her personal account, and all of them are designated for different things.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Smart.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks, and I've got some great news for families thinking about adding a fence or deck. While other companies are struggling with delays and rising costs, our commitment to American-made materials is saving our customers money. Picture your kids playing safely in your perfectly fenced backyard or hosting friends on your beautiful new deck, all while knowing you got the best value for true American quality. Whether you're dreaming of a classic ornamental fence or low-maintenance vinyl, or maybe that custom deck that you've been considering, our American-made materials and expert craftsmanship deliver superior results at prices other companies simply cannot match. This really is the golden time for your backyard project, and we have flexible financing options to make it even easier. Your satisfaction is our passion, and that's a promise. Visit STLFenceworks.com and let's lock in your savings and satisfaction today.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Guys, don't propose with a ring that she didn't pick out. Trust us, she already has a ring in mind. So engage with Gage Diamonds, in person or online, where Gage's skilled ring designers will work with her to create the perfect setting, matched with the perfect stone. Gage specializes in exquisite lab-grown diamonds. Financing available. GageDiamonds.com. We're Engagement's middle name.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The government shutdown is officially over after a record 43 days.
It's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again.
President Trump signed a government funding bill soon after it passed the House Wednesday night. The shutdown caused financial stress for federal workers who went without paychecks, stranded travelers at airports, and generated long lines at food banks. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats support all those affected.
But we cannot support the Republican effort to gut the health care of the American people.
Democrats were pushing to extend a tax credit that lowers the cost of health care coverage obtained through Affordable Care Act marketplaces.
We are in this fight until we win this fight for all of you. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care.
House Speaker Mike Johnson.
I said, as soon as the government was open, we would turn our attention to healthcare and all the other issues that are out there.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
Driverless cars will soon be hitting the highway. Waymo says its robo-taxis, already a common sight on some U.S. city streets, are expanding their routes to freeways and interstates around San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix. The company says other regions will get highway service soon. A federal appeals court has heard arguments about a spending law that stopped Medicaid reimbursements for Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider. The law passed in July and targets organizations that provide abortions and receive over $800,000 annually from Medicaid. The appeals court in September allowed the law to remain in effect while appeals are ongoing. Stock futures slightly lower this morning after the Dow hit a high yesterday. More from townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperature is going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the week, and a little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into the lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right. Again, lawmakers are battling over workers' rights in Washington, D.C. And again, and I hate saying this, Senator Josh Hawley is on the side of the union bosses as opposed to the actual workers. This just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. All right. We're now joined by Mark Mix from National Right to Work. Mark, good to have you back on the program here. Let's set the stage here. So basically, we have dueling ideas in Washington, D.C. I'm reading your writing on this. Senator Cassidy has a package that would essentially defend the workers' choice to be in unions or not. And in response to that, there's another bill, and this is the one that Senator Hawley is involved with, which is basically the one that the unions want. What's the difference between the two proposals here?
Yeah, Mike, good to be with you again this morning. And you're right there. This constant debate goes on all the time up here. Senator Cassidy from Louisiana, who's the chairman of the committee that deals with labor policy in the United States Senate, last week introduced a package of bills that really, while it's not the ultimate solution of giving workers the ability to choose whether or not they want to financially support a union, it goes back and reforms some of the things that have happened over the last 90 years in labor policy, which are pretty significant and give union officials dramatic powers over workers when it comes to, for instance, getting rid of the union by decertification, changing some of the rules there, creating some stability in the workplace where precedents aren't overturned every 4 years when administrations change, so that employers and employees have some idea of what their rights are. So the Hawley bills, the Cassidy bills are a series of bills that protect workers, while the Hawley bill that you and I have talked about before, which is Senate Bill 844, is designed to give union officials dramatically more power over workers by forcing employers and unions into negotiations that may end up with federal bureaucrats, literally, Mike, imposing contracts on private businesses for up to 2 years without the employees voting, without the employer agreeing. In fact, when one of the business agents from Boeing came to Washington, D.C. and testified a couple weeks ago, Senator Cassidy asked him if he thought it was appropriate that the government would impose a contract on workers without their vote. And he said that would be outrageous. It'd be a violation. But unfortunately, that's what Josh Hawley's bill would do to workers across the country.
Yeah, and it's called here the Faster Labor Contracts Act, but faster just means we're going to tell you. And if Sean O'Brien, who seems to be Josh Hawley's new BFF in Washington, D.C., if he's excited about it, we should be skeptical of it.
Yeah, indeed. You know, it's very simple what would happen, Mike. So the Hawley's bill says that within 10 days, you must start bargaining with the union. You must have a contract within 90 days. And if you don't, then there's a 30-day period that would include mediation, which would end up basically being the federally imposed contract at the end of that period. So if you're one of the parties and you want more, you just delay bargaining, you go to mediation, you take your chances. And generally, the way that process works, it's not a split the baby thing. It could be one or the other. And those policies could hurt the workers, the very workers that Sean O'Brien and Josh Hawley claim to want to help.
Yeah. And is this limited to federal contract, basically federal contractors like a Boeing, or is this something that could be imposed just completely in the private sector market?
Yeah, this is the private sector market, Mike. Yeah. It's really outrageous. The other bills that came in through the Cassidy package deal with like picket line violence and those types of things, giving workers the ability to have more influence on where their forced dues are spent politically. One of the bills actually supports a Supreme Court case we won back in 1988 here at the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation that basically said private sector workers could not lose their jobs if they decided they didn't want to support the political agenda of unions. That judicial decision has been basically ignored by organized labor officials over the years. So this is one of the responses is the bills that are coming through from Senator Cassidy, Senator Jim Banks from Illinois, Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, and Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama that help expand individual workers' rights over those of both the employer and the union boss.
Okay, now you're making a connection between the bill Josh Hawley is supporting rather, and the PRO Act as well. I mean, is this just getting what they can out of what was the PRO Act attempt? I mean, like, for instance, the card check thing and actually requiring private ballot or secret ballot elections. I mean, that should be common sense, but that's not what the unions want.
Yeah, that's right. The bills that are introduced now would deal with that. Hawley's bill comes right out of the PRO Act. That was a bill that had the repeal of every right to work law in the country, the virtual elimination of secret ballot elections, obviously secondary boycotts, allowing unions to boycott the customers of a targeted business that they're trying to unionize. This bill, this first contract arbitration bill, is part and parcel of that PRO Act. So they've kind of divided that up and put this in. Hawley's put this piece in. But I think Cassidy's bills are a response from 2 hearings on labor law reform, and basically are trying to address some of the issues that unions talk about when they talk about the PRO Act. Obviously, repealing the right to work laws across the country is not really pro-worker, frankly. Neither is eliminating secret ballot elections. Neither are forced contracts imposed by government. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of moving parts, and hopefully the debate will continue on this stuff.
Okay, what's the right role of the federal government? Let's start with something like what's happening with Boeing here in St. Louis. Obviously, there's a national interest on this. Boeing has hired permanent replacement workers, and they've made their counter offers, and this has been going on for months now. You've got probably a vested interest in the federal government because of the defense thing. So what's the right role of government in that? But then you look at just completely private sector, non-governmental contracting stuff. What's the right role of government, if any, in solving these standoffs?
Well, I think you make an important distinction. You know, when you have federal contractors that are providing military goods or the best airplanes in the world, that's one issue. But when you're having private sector employers like coffee shops, baristas at Starbucks, what role should the federal government play in all of that? And I think we have, unfortunately, Mike, we got to go back to Franklin Roosevelt in the 1930s when, politicians never want to let a good crisis go to waste. If you've got a crisis, government steps in, solves the problem, creates more problems, and then has to solve more problems. But when they took over the regulation of private sector labor policy in America, that's where this all started. They imposed the federal government onto the states in places where states should be laboratories of policy that would either attract or dissuade investment in their particular state. So, we believe that the states and the local government are the best place to regulate this. Obviously, you have the Commerce Clause, you have this, I won't say globalization, but you have the country, the private sector labor business that basically expands outside of state boundaries. So you have some kind of interest there. But the overreach by the federal government on labor policy, specifically when it comes to union power, is really a problem. And so for me, the National Labor Relations Act is something that needs a really hard look at. I think that's what Senator Cassidy's doing here, is trying to bring some kind of semblance of reform to a policy started 90 plus years ago that really does dictate and impose federal power on the states.
Okay, so where do these two competing bills stand? And then we'll direct people to where I'm sure your coverage and your assessment of it's going to be. But where do the two competing bills stand right now?
Yeah, Mike, right now these bills are in committee. So there will be hearings in committee. Obviously, Josh Hawley is on that committee. So he is the one vote margin that the Republicans have in the committee. And he's basically said that nothing will get through that committee unless his bill or his thoughts on his bill are part and parcel of anything that gets onto the Senate floor. It's going to be a battle. We've got to debate it. We'll be engaged in engaging people on the bill, like we have engaged our members and supporters across the country to talk to Josh Hawley about his bill. And we'll see what happens. It's likely that there'll be lots of smoke, but perhaps very little fire on this stuff.
Yeah, that may be the best outcome. I mean, it doesn't sound like we're going to get something that's spectacular through. So is a win just stopping the bad stuff?
Absolutely. That is absolutely a win. And we believe that, the best solution is, again, we have a national right to work bill pending in the Senate and the House that's in this same committee on the Senate side that doesn't add a single word to federal law, Mike. It's a one-page bill that literally changes the default of government power to voluntarism as opposed to coercion. We think that's a great policy. That begins to change a lot when union officials are held accountable by rank and file workers who believe they may be doing something that's not in their interest.
All right. And of course, national right to work, you got the committee, you got the foundation. The way that people connect with either or both is what?
Yeah, Mike, for your questions on your legal rights in the workplace, the foundation is the place to go. That's nrtw.org, nrtw.org. If they have questions about this legislation or just want to see it and see who's supporting this legislation, they can go to the committee's website, nrtwc.org, nrtwc.org. NewsTalkSTL.org.
All right. Mark Mix, National Right to Work, man. Good job with you. And thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be on with you.
All right. Got some thoughts on it? 314-912-1019. I think we need to bring everybody up to date on a whole bunch of other stuff, including a bunch of jobs that are not coming to St. Louis.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have the soul sewn up. It is no more. And all at once depart. No destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
St. Louis, it's here. The bigger than Black Friday at Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, get the biggest dollars off savings of 2025. $330 off every window. $830 off every patio or entry door. Plus, you may have no payments and 0 interest. Renewal by Anderson. Unprecedented winner of the prestigious J.D. Power Award for customers 6 years in a row. Renewal by Anderson. Full service window and door replacement division of Anderson. A name you've trusted for more than 122 years. $330 off every window. $830 off every patio or entry door. Schedule your consultation today at rbastl.com or call 877-WINDOWS. 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson. Award-winning quality, bigger savings, smarter investment.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right. The good news is the federal government's back open. The Schumer shutdown is ended. The bad news is the federal government's open and the Schumer shutdown's ended. Also, a former police chief here in the area faces a potential long prison sentence.
Ooh.
He was naughty, very naughty. And the government has ended the production of some of the currency that you're carrying around probably right now, or it's underneath the seat in your car. I bet you it's underneath the seat in your car.
Most
somewhere.
likely.
All right, 8:18 right now. Let's do one more news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Or as they say in South America, El Newso Dumpo. See, I am multicultural here. Just saying. All right. All right. The House has voted. The House, as expected, passed the bill to reopen and fund the government through the end of January, funding SNAP and paying federal workers. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the Democrats who did all this just use the American people as leverage for their own political gain.
All this was utterly pointless and foolish. This outcome was totally foreseeable. I said that this would be the outcome when all this began back in mid-September.
Okay.
They did it anyway.
One of those who's big mad about this is Representative Hakeem Jeffries, and he is angry at the Republicans because the bill does not include all that extra spending on health care subsidies.
They have zero interest and fighting hard to make life better for the American people. Their philosophy, my way or the highway, our response, get lost. We're going to continue to fight hard on behalf of the American people.
Okay, so there is going to be a vote scheduled next month on that $1 trillion+ of extra spending on those healthcare subsidies that the Democrats are going to lose.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Okay, the $547 million EV battery plant project that was planned in North City is dead. Not going to happen. Yeah, not going to happen at all. The ICL Group wanted to build the manufacturing plant near North Broadway. And now, of course, have you been up in the North Broadway area very much in North City?
A little bit, yeah.
Really rough area. I mean, just boarded up, doors, window. I mean, if there's any place that needs a hundreds of millions of dollars investment, that's it.
Yeah.
So I get the people there probably really not happy about this. About 150 fairly high-paying jobs were planned as part of that plant. So the Biden administration awarded the company about $200 million to support the project, but the Trump administration revoked that grant this year when they were clawing back billions of dollars, well, like $900 million, maybe a little over $1 billion, in all of this green new energy nonsense giveaways that were out there as part of that green new energy plan. The company says that means the project, in their words, is no longer competitive and that they're going to look somewhere else to do the EV battery manufacturing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when the government is either granting or subsidizing something you're doing that's not exactly compatible with being competitive.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's 100% right. When they say, well, it's not competitive, it means we don't see how we can make a profit if we have to spend the money ourselves. We could make a profit if you give us half the money from taxpayers, then we can make a profit. What that says is it's not viable. There's no market for it, at least not yet. So essentially, to paraphrase from my friend Patrick Toohey from the Show Me Institute, I got a really bad business idea for you, but if government gives me hundreds of millions of dollars, then suddenly it's a good idea for me.
And it's unfortunate, but that it seems to be the modus operandi these days.
Yep, exactly. So I do sympathize with probably some people in North City who are very, very hurt that this is not going to happen. But the reality is we would be celebrating this clawback if it happened in Cleveland or someplace like that. It's the right thing to do to claw it back, even though it's here.
Yeah, maybe instead of funding stadiums, we could be funding that from our own state pocket. Now, just real quick, did it ever move past the planning phase, or did they already start construction, but now they just don't have the funds to continue?
I don't think they broke ground.
Okay.
If they did, it was just ceremonially, but they had not begun the actual physical construction. Yeah. So nobody's actually losing a job. You know, there may be some contracts canceled where people aren't going to start one, but they didn't walk under construction site and go, okay, you're done, you're out. That didn't happen. It's just not going to happen.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. A former Metro police chief pleads guilty to defrauding government of over $150,000. Daniel Paulino used to be both the chief of police for Velda City until the department was disbanded last year and it was assumed into a co-op. But he was also at one point the city administrator. It's an odd dual job there.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, he admitted in court to taking city funds and using them both for his personal businesses and for personal vacation travel.
That's not what I think that is part of your job description.
No. And the court agreed it was not. He's going to be sentenced in February. He faces up to 40 years in prison.
Holy cow.
He's not going to get 40 years in prison, but I think he's going to do some time. He's going to, I mean, he's done being a public anything.
And that's what's so bizarre to me is how many times do we find that people that are supposed to be in political, either politics or positions of authority suddenly start acting like it's their own personal bank account.
Right. So we got to stop thinking of these jobs as like positions of authority and start thinking them as positions of trust.
Yeah, they should not be able to think of themselves as like an aristocrat.
Right.
They need to think of themselves as a public servant.
Yes. We need to get back and demanding that at all levels. Okay, what do we else got going on here? Oh, okay. The Congressional Budget Office projecting the fourth quarter GDP is going to shrink possibly 1% to 2%, which is significant. That's prompting more concerns about the U.S. economy, a lot of that related to the shutdown. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the Trump administration is committed to making things more affordable, and he tells Fox and Friends that they're making progress on lowering grocery prices, including an announcement that he's going to reference here in a second regarding reducing some tariffs that have recently been imposed.
You're going to see some substantial announcements over the next couple of days in terms of things we don't grow here in the United States. Coffee being one of them, bananas, other fruits, things like that. So that will bring the prices down.
So Scott Bessent has finally figured out that tariffs are taxes that increase the cost to consumers. And so now he's saying, well, you're going to get some announcements, some lower tariffs. So therefore, look at us lowering prices for you, even though they're the ones that jacked up that part of the prices.
And that's also part of what feels so wrong. So not only the fact that you're always 100% right about tariffs being the consumer tax and things, but the fact that right now it just seems like, I don't want to say a control or a command economy, but it's like, hey, we're going to tariff this. No, never mind. We're not. Hey, we're going to tariff that. No, we're not. And that cannot be good for long-term economic stability. Right. It just seems like you're pulling off, Band-Aids here and sticking them elsewhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Or I thought about, I'm like, how do I compare this to something? And especially in this case, because you saw like all the actual, like real economists and stuff, not the political activist types, but the people who actually do it. They're like, welcome to the group that understands what these things do. I have said many times, Scott Bessent to me sounds economically illiterate a lot. I know that pisses some people off, but it's just, he's more of a political activist than he is any sort of economic anything. And I think of it this way is when you're adding all of these tariffs and adding all of these costs, basically what you've got is punching us in the stomach and punching us in the mouth, looking at the people who are selling stuff saying, look at what you're doing to them. Yeah. And so he says, we're going to lower some tariffs on some of these things that we can't grow here anyway. So they're going to stop punching us in the stomach, continue punching us in the mouth, and say, look at how nice we are. We're not punching you in the stomach anymore.
Now, just for somebody that's starting my financial literacy journey myself, is it just because the costs go down because of reducing the tariffs, then that does not necessarily mean go out there and start spending like crazy again. It means continue to make sure that your finances are in order. Right. Because they could be double the tariffs next week.
Yeah. You've got one of two options. You can get more resources for the same amount of money, or you can access the resources you need with less money and then use the rest of the money somewhere else. Because what's happening right now when these costs go up is you have to find the money for the needs, the requirement things in life, the basic life expenses. And when the money runs short, that money then is not spent on other things. So, the back to matter is, and again, the Trump administration said, hey, there's going to be some pain on this. Well, there's a lot of pain on this. Yeah. And you add the shutdown, which is a major part of the GDP, likely going to be down, a couple % on that. You add that all in together. That's why people are concerned about where we're going in the economy as we head into an election year. Yep. So I welcome the fact that they're saying we're going to lower some tariffs. A lot of these are tariffs that should have never been put into place in the first. They're just not good fiscally conservative policy whatsoever. Come at me, everybody. I'm telling you.
Get them.
All right. Just a heads up for hunters as we head into firearms deer season. Missouri Conservation Department is requiring all deer harvested in St. Louis and St. Charles counties be tested for chronic wasting disease. So here's how this is going to work. Hunters, you've got to present the deer to a sampling station the day of the kill. So there's more information at the Department of Conservation's website. They're not confiscating it. They're just taking a sample from it to track to make sure that CWD isn't, running rampant anywhere. So they're just basically it's a preventative measure to get a handle on it.
Now, if I hunt one with my vehicle, does that also apply?
You do not have to take it into the station. So, and I had to hit the brakes this morning because one of those things walked right out in front of me on Westport Plaza. I could just right there.
It sounded like the way you described it earlier. It's like, well, they're calling it deer season. Now it's human season for us.
Basically, I'm getting ready to turn on Westline Industrial, coming to work, and the deer just kind of trots out in front of me, and I hit the brakes. I mean, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and the deer kind of stops and looks at me like goes, "What's up, dude?" And I'm like, "Move!" I'm doing the hand thing, like move. And so we're like, okay, and it just trotted into a yard there. I'm like, okay, whatever. All right. It is the end of an era for America's smallest coin. We now live in a post-penny era.
Yes.
Sort of. Yeah. The United States Mint struck its final penny for circulation on Wednesday, marking the official end of penny production in the United States.
About darn time.
So Treasurer Brandon Beach says while production of the penny is now stopped, the penny itself is still not going anywhere.
Let me be crystal clear. the penny remains legal tender. We have over 300 billion pennies that remain in circulation, and we encourage you to use them.
Now, remember, President Trump announced plans to stop penny production back in February, which was the right thing to do. It cost basically 4 cents to make a 1 cent penny. It doesn't make any sense to keep making these.
Yeah, the 30 billion pennies still in circulation probably amount to about $15 in today's.
You never know. But the penny's been part of the currency since 1792. Stopping penny production is going to save us about $56 million per year in production cost.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures going to continue to rise once again this afternoon. Looking at highs into the upper 60s, some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures into Friday and Saturday going to continue to rise into the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies remaining dry throughout the rest of the week, and a little bit chillier into Sunday, highs into the lower 60s. Then some scattered chances of showers pretty much every day as we head off into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
When I started skiing, I didn't think about setting any records. When I won my first race, I didn't think about how many more I might win. So when I made it to the top of the world, it never crossed my mind to stop. Being the best isn't the same as being your best. There are no shortcuts to the top, so find the people who help get you there. I'm Michaela Schifrin, and that's what Team Stiefel means to me. If you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stiefel, where success meets success.
Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
The economy has now taken center stage in the Trump presidency. Everything he's done in terms of foreign policy, getting the hostages back in Gaza, it's a really big deal. Securing the southern border, really big deal. But when it comes to the issue of the economy, Trump physically has to improve the conditions in this country, or the Republicans will never recover, which is why you're hearing Trump say things about a 50-year mortgage. Like him telling Laura Ingraham, it's no big deal. You used to have a 40-year mortgage, now you have a 50-year mortgage. No, you didn't have a 40-year. You had a 30-year. And turning it into a 50-year might make short-term home ownership more approachable, but the long-term benefits are a lot less for the average person who buys that loan and tries to stay with it to term. That's not an answer to an affordability crisis. So they need to marshal all of their resources towards the economy.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
So I hear an out-of-towner asking someone, where's the best place to eat? Before they could respond, I said, Cafe Napoli. Where? Well, I said, Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C, and then you got Napoli Kirkwood, plus you got Napoli Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. You'll find Napoli everywhere. It's not too early to book a party and buy gift cards. Cafe Napoli.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Someone who is fighting cancer, undergoing surgery, or experiencing a life-threatening illness. The need for blood is critical and constant.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder. A single blood donation can save lives. Donate blood today and offer help and hope to those who need it most.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Hey,
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, so the shutdown's over.
Is it?
Now what? Well, we go back to the normal dysfunction, to quote Todd there in the last stinger.
Well, I mean that in the sense that I could not, if I had not been working with you and getting all the facts, the amazing facts that News Talk provides us, I would never have even noticed that the government was shut down to begin with.
See, and that should be one of the things where you know that you're in a good position. And I'm not saying this to knock other people, so please don't take it this way. The federal government shutdown did affect me in one way, in that, like, for instance, Secretary Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, said yesterday, we think we're going to be able to get travel back to normal right around Thanksgiving Day. That means you're looking like today, they're still doing 6+% reductions. That's going to be thousands of flights, which have residual effects. And they don't think they're going to be able to be back up to full capacity until like right around Thanksgiving Day.
So about 2 weeks from today.
Right. And so we're looking at the fallout for this. It became not feasible for me to fly out and go see my family on Thanksgiving. Okay. We're very sad about that. We don't like that. That turned out to be the right choice, because otherwise the chances of me getting stuck in God knows what airport somewhere and just too much hassle, not to mention the costs going up. Okay. So it affected me in that way. Other people, it affected your ability to eat food.
Yeah.
Other people, it affected your ability to get a paycheck, sometimes for legitimate work that you were doing, air traffic controllers. Others for work that you shouldn't get paid for, TSA agents. You get paid to cop fields and you molest people. I don't think much of the TSA. But if you're in a position where you're like, well, it didn't affect me, good. Then you are more insulated from the government's tentacles than a lot of other people. So then the question comes down, given that, because you were talking to people like, what, the government shut down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask, like, my daughter doesn't pay attention to much of the news. And if you asked her, like, how the government shutdown affect you? And she go, what government shutdown? I mean, I'm sure she knew it was happening, but didn't affect her.
Yeah. And I mean, some of it, I guess I could forgive, because it's people that are like, late teenagers, maybe. So I don't expect somebody that's 19 to understand all the programs. I mean, I'm still learning myself, but some of these people were older than me. They were guys your age that were supposed to be the shift manager.
Yeah.
And some of them didn't even know what SNAP was, or that wasn't going to be, funded. And they're like, well, I don't see why people are getting so mad online about this. Well, the government shut down, they're not going to get funding. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean the government shut down? So it is that level of, if not for the fact that Congress was getting paid, at least some of the ones that did not forego their own payment,
right.
But the fact that Congress was getting paid after literally basically holding the nation hostage over some little some stupid.
Well, it's 2026 election stuff. Let's be honest.
It is, and then to come back here and realize how little effect that had on most people. And if we had not been paying Congress, if we had less taxes, we had a stronger community. I mean, we could have taken over a lot of that responsibility ourselves.
Now, had the bare minimum number of Democrats not decided to flip over and vote to reopen the government, because, by the way, none of the Democrats in Illinois or Missouri voted to reopen the government. None of the Democrats. Manuel Cleaver and Wesley Bell in Missouri voted against the bill. All of the Democrats in Illinois voted against the bill. There were a few Democrats. There were 4 or 5 Democrats in the House that voted. So there were a few. But had this continued on, had the 8 Democratic caucus members, because there are some independents who caucus with the Democrats, but had they not passed this through the House, we'd still be in a shutdown. Would my life necessarily change? Well, no, outside of not being able to take a chance on buying a plane ticket for hundreds of dollars and knowing I may not get there. No, my life wouldn't have changed. But a lot of people's lives would continue. It would continue to spiral, and the ripple effect would have affected more people. And so I think there were some Democrats, including Dick Durbin, with whom I disagree on most everything. I think he looked around and went, this is really going to hammer us if we let this go too far. So he's probably thinking, I'm going to help save my party from itself right now, because the Democrats have something that they can run on now. Because the Republicans' sticking point here is they said, we're not going to renew this COVID era subsidy that was supposed to expire anyway. When it was passed, it was supposed to expire. It was supposed to be get through the pandemic. Well, when was the last time you heard of a government program where they said, we'll just get through this, but then we'll get rid of the program? They never do it. This is a prime example. Continuing that would have been an additional $1.5-ish trillion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's subsidizing the inflated cost of healthcare that's driven up by Obamacare.
Per tax contributing individual in this country, that is $9,202 per each of us to go towards programs that are already hyperinflated, because when it's not your money, you can be as generous as you want.
Yep. And so here's the thing, though, is that in 2026, the Republicans won because the Democrats just look silly right now. When you look at the SNAP stuff and you look at the airport delays, even the casual news observer goes, "Yeah, Democrats did that."
Mm-hmm.
Even if it won't necessarily change their vote against them if they tend to vote Democrat, you can't understand the basic facts and still say Republicans did that. Democrats are angry that the government reopened. They're acknowledging that this was what they wanted to do. Now they'll just argue that it was the right thing to do. But the reality is, in 2026, they have an emotional thing to run on. They have the issue that they want. So the Republicans are going to let the vote happen on the Obamacare extra spending. It's going to fail. Democrats are not going to get what they want. That's the right thing. But then we talked to Chris Arps a little bit earlier today, and he said, I bet you Republicans will come up with some sort of national subsidization program. We'll call it something different, maybe send the money directly to people or put it into HSA. But somehow what's going to happen in his prediction is that the Republicans are going to go, there's no way we're going into election and taking away the free money from something. So we just have to brand it with ours and make it better than theirs. That doesn't thrill me, but Chris is probably right.
Chris is very good at accurately. I mean, I'm convinced he's got a crystal ball sometimes that he's just like, okay, well, now getting back to the idea of who the winners, because I would argue that pretty much every taxpaying American, including, and even those that are not, people that needed the services, we're all the losers in this.
Oh yeah.
But here's something I haven't really heard too much of. So our friend Scooter, being Scooter's advocate right now.
Yeah.
So Speaker Johnson is the loser in this. He has to make he has to make good on his promise to address healthcare because his membership is demanding it. If he does, he will lose the gavel.
Well, the Republicans are happy to have the vote on it. I'm not. Scooter, send me another note. Clarify, because I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just not sure what you mean by that. The Republicans are happy to have the vote because the fix is in. Republicans are going to win the vote.
Yes, because Speaker Johnson was one of those that was quite literally. I mean, he was the one saying it's been 13 times now that they keep voting against us.
Well, it was almost. I think it was on the 15th time that they finally reopened.
Yeah, but he was the one going out there saying, "Look, we have a plan to reopen. We just want to get this done.
Yeah.
The Democrats will not join us and reopen the government." And I mean, so I don't see how he's a loser in this. It's
I mean, this is one of the rare times the Republicans stuck together, for good or for ill, because normally, Republicans will. The Democrats typically circle the wagons and the Republicans typically circle the firing squad, often is what happens. So no, I don't think there's a lot of discontent in the party for Mike Johnson right now. And I think if you said the Republicans, how long can we put off this vote on the healthcare thing? They're going to go put it off. Let's do it now. They probably want that. They want that done as soon as possible. But John Thune said, we're going to do it in the Senate second week of December, most likely.
Now, here's something they got. The comment was made quite a while ago. I'm sorry, I can't, contribute to who said it, but so there's been a lot of murmuring about AOC being propped up to take Chuck Schumer's spot, and that this whole thing. I mean, I've heard rhetoric like it's the Civil War in the Democratic Party, and they're all going like piranhas and crabs in a bucket at each other. But of course, it's a media, sort of thing sometimes. So I don't know. But in your opinion, is it really like, is this potentially going to be the thing that props up AOC or somebody of that nature to take over Chuck Schumer?
It's very, very possible. Here's the thing. Susie looked it up earlier, and Schumer is up for re-election in 2028. Okay. It's the end of 2025. American voters, both sides of the aisle, we have the attention spans of fruit flies for the most part. That's a long time for people to forget and for people to rally behind somebody they're mad at right now. I mean, less than 2 years ago, we were hopping mad at John Fetterman over everything, and we couldn't criticize him enough. Now he doesn't seem like that bad of a guy because, he's willing to compromise on some things. There was a lot of, when the Republicans had their civil war over who was going to be the House Speaker, Jordan, whoever else. And then it's like, who the heck is Mike Johnson? And then there was people forget in that amount of time. So if the far left continues to stay in the driver's seat, I think what could happen is after the 2026 elections, Schumer's going to be positioned to have to decide, am I going to run again or am I going to make way for the next generation of Democrats? And I would say AOC is probably the clear front runner to be that seat. And if she decides to run, I don't think she gets a significant challenge at all. I think she's the heir apparent. And we can just then see the collective IQ of the Senate go down a little bit, the average.
Now, hopefully will help bring up that and as we reopen the government and see what that's going to go, we can kind of rock out with some Flashback Friday requests. Now, we have said last call for 80s Flashback Friday bump music throughout the show, but I mean it this time. This is your last chance for your head banging, rocking out 80s flashback bump music. Send it to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, and we'll see you tomorrow with it.
Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On News Talk STL.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serene Wealth Management. Tune in this Sunday right here on News Talk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for Serene Wealth Now Radio. This week, we've got special guest Kathy Kaiser joining us in studio. You hear her each and every week on Vic's show, and we've got her for 30 minutes on Serene Wealth Now Radio. So tune in, have a little fun with finance, talk about what's going on and what you're watching. See you Sunday, 9 a.m., News Talk STL, Serene Wealth Now Radio.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Colombo and Company.
The shutdown debate is over for now, but not healthcare as Dems roll out a plan to extend Obamacare subsidies. We'll discuss it Thursday. Plus, Justin Sparks, Virginia Cruda, and Randy Tobler.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about the cash being cringe.
Yep.
Cringe thing. And it was CNBC had a story and Cash App did a survey. And like the younger somebody is, the more they're like, cash, who does that anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because Susie made a joke. She's like, because you referenced people writing checks. And I'm like, oh, that was annoying when that was the thing. You know, when I was writing checks before debit cards happened, I knew that was annoying then.
So I'm not being too much of a dumb youngster. You guys were frustrated by people writing
I knew
checks.
it because it took extra time and, you know, that sort of thing. You know, we and then Susie goes, yeah, the only people are still using checks now are little old ladies. I got a text from my mom. Little old ladies, come on. So Susie went, sorry, Vicky.
Sorry, Mike's mom.
Yeah. So now she has her debit cards. I don't know how many checks she actually writes anymore, but yeah, because that was funny. And the really weird part is when the economies get tighter, which we are in a position, that could happen. Because we're still paying the price of these trillions of dollars that were borrowed and dumped into the economy. When economies get tighter and personal finances get tighter, sometimes going back to a more cash-based system is actually the best way to manage your money. But we don't think of it in that terms because we live in a digital world.
And that's, I guess, the good and the bad of convenience is
Yeah.
that a trend that I've noticed. I've listened to people much smarter than me actually do lectures on this sort of thing. So I think I'm onto something. But the idea of when you are in a place where it's a new innovation that makes your life more convenient because you already have had to understand how to get to the point to integrate that into your life appropriately, you're not totally dependent on it. It just becomes more of a, hey, instead of having to do the cha-ching with the credit card, now I can go and swipe it or tap it.
Tap it, yeah.
Whereas the next generation that's brought up as though that's the new normal, they're not absorbing the old way, the thing that got us there. And so when that starts to fall apart, or when it becomes something where you don't have that conceptual, this piece of plastic represents all the money that I have saved, then you start to lose that common sense about how to budget and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And one of the thing, and this will relate to a lot of people who are listening right now. We had to learn how to balance a checkbook.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever taught that in school? The actual checkbook ledger.
So I hear the full extent of my experience with checks is when I was a kid, I saw my mom writing them. So I wanted to do chores to get checks, and then I would just keep them, and I didn't even know how to cash them.
Right.
By the time I got, places where I grew up at, they don't even accept checks. So it was kind of like, why even bother learning how to write one?
They don't. Yeah. Because that was one of the things, but it was basic accounting that you were learning. You'd flip open the checkbook book and you'd have a ledger, an old fashioned ledger based on old accounting. And you would write in the check number, the date, where you wrote the check, how much, and then you could calculate what should be in your account balance right there on pen and paper. And that's how we learned, to budget once if you weren't using cash.
See, and we need to bring that back because we did not have any financial literacy, anything. We understood the basics of, well, you take out student loans to go to college. That's what we were told. But I had to take an elective economics course to even understand what interest was and how that worked.
Right.
And that affects all your purchases when it comes down to, like needing credit or loans.
One of the times when I was living basically hand to mouth, single dad, one preschool kid, one kindergarten kid, my budget was next to, working on almost no margins. One of the ways I paid my bills to make sure, because if a check bounced, they were charging you $30-$35. You were getting hammered.
Oh.
And so what I would do is I would go to like the Quick Trip, or I'd go to my bank and I'd buy a money order for 25 cents because that can't bounce.
Oh, so that's how you knew you had money in your account.
I wouldn't send in a check. I would send in a money order because that was prepaid.
That would have been smart.
Right. And now I know there are places that don't accept money orders. I'm not really sure why, because they are guaranteed and prepaid, but that's how I would do it. Even if I had checks, because I knew that if anything was off, and if something was off by 20, 30, 40 bucks at some point in a month, I risked bouncing something. And so that's one of the ways I did it, but that was close to a cash because I had to take the cash, buy the money order, cost me 25 cents at Quick Trip. I don't know what they cost now, but, and then I would mail that in to pay my, electric bill or whatever, water bill or whatever the case was. And that's how I would do it, but that was close to a cash-based system. And then I would use an envelope system and use cash for other things.
And now we can just log into the app and look at
That's
it and
right.
say, wow, that's a very small number. That makes me sad. So Kathleen says, she still writes checks to pay for bills, and she sends them in the mail, which
it's old school.
Yeah, but she said she is a little old lady, but she's still a rock star. And then our hippie Jay from YouTube, welcome. He says cash is king. He's going to keep using money orders.
Listen, as things get tighter, and if there's a shaky aspect of the economy, cash could be king again. He could be absolutely right about that.
Oh, and this one's directed at me. So straight up says, we were taught all of that in high school, Jerome. Do they not teach checks and balances at school any longer? Well, when I was in high school, no. Our understanding of economics was this nation over here can produce X coconuts at this rate. We can produce X amount of, whatever. And then we find the way to trade them in such a way that it overlaps to be the most maximized. So that way we benefit from people that can specialize in production, that we could then trade our specialized like that. It was macroeconomics. It had nothing I had to get a student loan to go to school to learn about how the student loan works.
I think in Missouri, there's a personal finance course that's required now. I don't know if it's any good.
And,
I have
and
no
this was
idea.
in Illinois, by the way.
That's Illinois.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to go out on a limb and make a guess as to what I think your answer is going to be. What's been the most valuable thing I've given you since you've been at this radio station?
There was two books, actually.
I gave you 2 books.
You gave me it was like I think it was a money makeover, right?
Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover.
And that book quite literally got me back right on track to where I need to be. And I mean, I can recognize now the stupid decisions I made, but I mean, that was the first time any of these concepts really clicked with me.
Yep.
And they were all things that I had been doing wrong for the first 29 years of my life.
Yeah, that's the same book I gave to my daughter.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, because it's a how to get control of it. So you can depend on the government and the economy to to let you know what kind of life you're allowed to live, or you can take ownership of it yourself. Government can influence it, can make it harder, can make it easier. But the bottom line is that when you go back to something like cash is king, or monitoring your money like that, it's up to us. And I remember, because I think I gave you and Amber both 2 books.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 of them. So that's a great start, but it's all based on that cash system.
And again, a lot of the stuff is very much, once you actually realize and you implement it, you realize, wow, this should have been a very basic conceptual thing. But sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And then if you're never exposed to it, I think that's where a lot of the frustration that we see with these, young people younger than me that are even more potentially useless than I am, is that you send them to a public school, but they're not being taught the life skills they need to be a functional person. And then the government's supposed to help them, and really they're not doing anything. They're just hyperinflating everything. So it's like, if it's up to us to teach these, I didn't get that from my family. I didn't get that from my public education.
We've got too many who are teaching how to use government and how to depend on government, instead of how to insulate yourself from being dependent on government.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.